Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world watching this today. This is Behind the Fiends old video behind the counter. It's your old buddy John again. Uh, Today we have Deidra Kling. She is an artist, an art director, a producer, a woman of many hats, many skills. She is very close friends with our own Mandy Cantone. So, I could sit here and just maybe try to describe Deidre to you, but why not bring somebody in that knows her best? So let's bring in Mandy. Hey, Mandy. So why don't you give
Hello,
us the
John.
guinea on your friend?
Oh, my friend Deidra. We just go back, way back, like our basically ninth grade of high school. We met in summer school, so we'll go over that little story in just a little bit. But Deidra is a very talented, very beautiful woman, and I think that we should just bring her in so that way she can go over all her work and everything with us. Give us a little bit more insight. I'm being poked at by a kid behind me, so I'm getting distracted.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your butts because here comes Miss Deidra Kling. Hey, Deidra.
Hey, Deidra.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Okay, Deidra. Basically, it's like I already told everybody that we've known each other since high school and everything like that. We can like jump into like describing some of your work that you've been doing lately, or we can give them a little brief like on our actual history together.
You just said I forgot. My memory is so not linear. So until you ever say about summer school, I always forget about how we met in summer
Oh my
school. But we
god.
did. You
Yeah.
probably remember it way better than I do. I remember we
Summer school.
connected and then didn't connect till later because it was summer
You
school.
no, you decided to talk to me because you said that I was sitting there at the desk stretching my stomach skin. That's like because I was like super skinny. I was like a size
Yeah.
2, and I'm like sitting there stretching my skin, saying that I was fat. And you're like, "What's wrong with this girl?" That's when you decided to talk to me.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, you were interesting. I remember that.
John's gonna laugh. Yeah, interesting was the
She
word
was
for it.
though. She was different, like for sure different.
Yes, always, always, and that's the way
Yeah.
everybody needs to be. So is Deidre. So don't let her fool
Yeah.
you.
I was a summer school kid. I enjoyed
Were
school
you?
so much. I made sure I went every summer.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, we loved it.
I don't know. It's so surprising that I actually went to summer school though. But we do it. I was like, why do I do this to myself every year? But hey, we don't
I,
learn from
I
our
remember
mistakes.
one time I went to summer school. We learned not jack shit the whole time.
Oh,
The guy that we had classes with was a total hippie, and all we did was sit there and listen to like old '60s music and watch Batman '66 episodes. He was like just caught in a time loop. It seemed like,
nice.
and I was like, "Wow, this is actually pretty cool because I like Batman '66, but I could be doing so many other things besides sitting here." And after that, I decided I never want to go to summer school again because that was such a waste of time.
Oh yeah,
I met some of my
brutal.
closest friends in summer
I
school. It's like
know.
I met Deidre, I met Tim Manji. Remember him?
Oh my god, yeah, I
Yeah, he's
do.
still around. He still
He
talks.
is.
So yeah.
I know
And
he had
then
like kids or something.
he
He had
had a
like a normal
daughter.
life. Yeah.
He had a normal life.
Doesn't he though? I think he has like a normal life. Like he has like a
um, no, not quite. Not quite.
no.
No, yeah.
Who else?
Who else? I don't know. The rest of the people that I had met like during summer school and stuff like that. I um kind of like well, my friend Darren from
Mm.
he was from Springstead though. I don't know if you would remember him.
I have like
He's a
such a
writer.
hard time remembering until it's like there, and then I'm
Well,
like,
that's what I was just about to say. It's like who else? It's like I know I still talk to people, but it's like
yeah, who?
lately it's like I forget my own name when it comes to like tomorrow. I'll be like, who was I yesterday? Oh yeah, that's right.
The weird thing about being like a creative like person or like an artist is that like I thoroughly did not realize that I was even an artist, even though I was always living as an artist. Like even in high school and like all the things that we did, like I never
Yeah.
identified because that's just who I was. I didn't like call it something. I just lived that way. And
yeah,
so
we
it was
actually had that discussion because after my mom had passed away, you were like messaging me about everything, and I showed you some like pictures and everything. You're like, we always took pictures, and then you realized you're like, somebody just asked me when I got into photography, and then you mentioned to me, you're like, we've always taken pictures. I'm
always.
like, always. We always had a camera, no matter what.
Like when somebody had asked me like when you got into photography, at the time my answer was like, oh, a few years ago. But then when you sit down and think about it, it was part of the fabric of my entire life since I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember high school and doing photo shoots with Polaroids, full photo shoots with like my friend Christine or you, and we would do these photo shoots with Polaroids or like those film cameras or digitals later on. And I was like, it's crazy. I never even put that into consideration that was part of the journey.
I think our favorite thing was the disposable cameras. Do you remember going and dropping off the film to be developed? We'd always take the pictures and just drop off the cameras and everything. So yeah, John, this is us always. We didn't just decide yesterday though we wanted to be some type of.
No, I remember doing photo shoots with the disposables in like graveyards in high school.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember because it was with Shane at Paul.
Yeah.
Wow, I remembered his name. I was like sitting there like trying to like go into the vault. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, he was too strange.
I still have those photos.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the I had a couple, but I don't know. I just put everything away stupidly.
But it's pretty cool.
Some of your embarrassing photos when you try to dress normal. Remember that one I sent you?
Oh my god. I was we're going to date myself, but we went to Wet Seal and we bought those button up, like shiny, like silver. Wasn't it like silvery, like white?
I don't know what it was, but you came over to my house all dressed up. I'm like, oh my god, we have to take pictures. And that's the first time I seen her dressed like that. So it was just like, but me, it's like I was always dressing really crazy. I was trying different things every day, and seriously, I didn't follow anyone. And a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, what are you wearing?"
You're like, such a weirdo.
Doesn't matter. It's like, yeah. The favorite thing was, "You're such a weirdo." I'd be like, "Thank you."
I was telling my daughter because funny story is that my son is actually going to go to the high school that you and I went to, possibly. My brain.
You sent me the freaking video of the gymnasium. All I was thinking was like, oh my god, all of us sitting in the freaking bleachers for the pep
I know. And I kept thinking, like, I had the feeling like impending doom, like I'm going to get in trouble. Somebody's going to pull me out and yell at me. Something is going to happen.
Oh god, we were always told that our outfits were inappropriate.
Yeah. So like, it was funny. I was telling my daughter how like in our time, people would call us weirdos or freaks. Mm-hmm. Just because we were different. But now it's the conversation and the dialogue, it wouldn't be considered weird. It wouldn't be considered freaks. But we were wanted that way, just being even slightly like left of center. You were a weirdo. I mean, God forbid you carry a knife and set someone on fire in school. I mean, that, you know.
And not
I'm making a joke because I actually brought a knife to school. I mean, that was a little bit different. Yeah, but now
have you noticed that those people that called us that though, they
now they want to be my friends.
Like lingering, like following you, and friends, and they're like, oh, I want to be your friend.
Yeah, I had the same kind of issue growing up. I mean, I was a comic book nerd. I was a horror movie geek, and
there you go.
I got bullied. I got put down, and I was also kind of a skater punk. And I grew up in, Bible thumping Southern Baptist North Carolina, basically, and all the kids were wearing button up shirts and dressing nice like they were going to church when they were just going to school. And here I am in like baggy jeans and shirts with skulls and fire and shit all over them. And
you're like, what do you like, the devil?
Yeah. I mean, I literally had people ask my family members if I was into Satanism and different things like that. Like, no shit. I mean, and it was...
Yeah, so anything left of center is the devil. Like, you're a Satanist. Like, 1 inch over the line and we're all going to hell,
But then this fun went back in the day when you would use it to your advantage and you just look at them and go... And they go, oh.
And they would leave you alone. There were advantages because I think some people were actually kind of scared of me because of that air about you. They were like, weren't so sure what you were into, so they would kind of leave you alone.
Yeah, because they'd be like,
I
he likes
never got
watching all
that
those.
sense with people around you. Like maybe with me. I don't know. Well, me
Yeah.
and Deidra did. You remember the Valentine's Day when we decided to take oh my God. Yeah. I don't even have to finish it. She remembers. She's like, oh my God, yes. So she stayed over my house one night and we went to the store and got some like black construction paper and some like silver paint pens, and we wrote very nice messages on every heart. They weren't nice messages. We made sure that they were very insulting, but we used words that none of our other classmates would understand. And we handed out
For Valentine's Day.
for Valentine's Day to all our class members. What grade? We were in 11th grade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were like Black Valentines. So they were like the anti-Valentine.
they were anti-Valentines, and everybody was telling us thank you. And then all me and Deidra could do was just laugh for the rest of the day. We're like, oh my God, they kept telling us thank you. So
I was like, I don't remember what we wrote, but I remember it wasn't very good. Like it was just stuff
yeah,
like, you know.
I don't remember anything that we wrote, John, but yeah, we weren't very nice, and we handed them out to everybody.
Love is dead.
Yeah, stuff like
Cynic.
that. But we wrote it so that they couldn't understand it, and everybody's probably being anybody that probably like comes
Like,
across
huh?
this, they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, they're like,
I
those
wonder who
bitches.
somebody has one. Somebody had messaged me and had one.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
See, we were memorable.
Somebody actually messaged me and was like, do you remember when this happened? And I was like, oh my God. Again, I didn't remember it until it was triggered to me. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they were like, I have one somewhere. One of the
Did
black
they
hearts.
just
So black hearts
take it
with
as
something.
the source and decide to look it up? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't believe they said this to me. They were random though. We didn't pinpoint anybody, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it wasn't like
random Valentine's.
it wasn't mean. It was just weird mean. Yeah.
Weird mean.
Yeah, so definitely a long history there.
Very long history there. But since then, we won't go into too many more crazy stories. We can along the lines, like further into this little podcast, but
Sure.
everybody's going to want to know about your work, Deidra. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
I was mentioning the photography when you realized that you actually did start getting into it, but what you had referenced to them is when you actually decided to go to like school for it, to photography school and everything.
Yeah, I didn't go to traditional photography. I didn't go to like college for photography. I'm primarily a self-taught artist. So like I have taken like workshops and I have done like courses and things, obviously to learn along the way, but I'm primarily a self-taught artist. But as far as it was about, I would say at this point about 10 years ago that I decided to be a public artist. Like I decided to, whether I knew what I was doing or not, I was going to do it publicly. I was going to shoot and share it with the world. I wasn't going to hide it and then wait till I felt like I was good enough to share it. I just kind of evolved in the eye of everybody. And some of them were awful in the beginning, obviously, like, which is goes to a huge point of something that I try to share is that like, there's never like, oh, I'll do that later. I'm not good enough to do that yet. You know, I mean, I wasn't good enough to do that. And I just did it anyway. And you just kind of push yourself and anybody can do it. It's really important to just believe that like no one is better than anyone else. We're all just on a different length of the same journey. Right.
Exactly. It's the only way to perfect anything that we're doing is by trial and error. So
yeah. And it was about 10 years ago. And I just always had felt more connected to things that were more surreal or dark. Like things with a dark narrative or an emotive narrative. And I lean into that and I connect to that. So that's what I like to create. So it's kind of in the horror, I can never say this and it sound right. The horror network, like in that vein. I mean, I could say horror, like in New York.
Horror. I know everybody sits there and comments about how I say it too. They're like, you know,
horror, because we're leaving Florida.
Like horror.
I know.
Horror.
I really love horror. I love horrors. I really like horror. I can't say it. So
I'm not gonna say anything. He's turning a little red there. Yeah,
hey, my name's John, and I love horrors. I mean horror.
Horror. I hate it.
No, so, like, he's thinking it sounds funny. He's like horror, horror.
Into like the darker, like, you know, and a lot of people supported me in that community, and so kind of found my footing as I went through, and then evolved into different things. And photography was sort of the gateway. It's my like real true one love. Everything else from then has been an offshoot, like painting and filming, and everything came from through there.
Well, like you were saying earlier about taking the graveyard pictures, I was one of those kids. I used to love to walk in the graveyards because seeing those headstones was kind of like a time machine for me, because I would literally stare at it and be like, well, I wonder what this person's life was like, prior to them passing, what happened to them, what was their family like, different things, and what was, just that time in that era. And I don't know, I was weird, I guess, but I just always found that fascinating.
Yeah.
And sometimes those old graveyards are just goth, they got that gothic feel, but they're very beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. And like sometimes you could put a story together when you see like you'll see like a gravestone of like a mother, and you could tell that the father died a year later, and maybe they lost a child, and like you kind of place this little time frame around it, and you're like, wow, the lives of these people probably lived. Sometimes there's, and especially it was always when there was children that it really like you'd be like, wow, that's really sad. It's probably super normal for them, but for me, looking back, I was sad for them, to lose that many children, or lose a husband, or the whole family is there, and you could see that they all died. Some of them, let's say, oh my God, this whole family died in the same day. There's so many times just the date can tell you like something about the family, and like you just envision, like you said, like what their lives were like. So
yeah, I mean, when I first moved out on my own, I had a double wide mobile home, trailer trash, whatever, but I had these woods out by my house, and I just went in there one day because I used to like to walk out in the woods and stuff with my dog, and I stumbled upon this graveyard, and there was this mother and her two daughters, and literally on the gravestone it told that they died in a house fire, and I'm like, this is the saddest shit.
So sad.
And then next to them was an old Civil War officer. Didn't necessarily say if he was North or South, but North Carolina, it's more than likely he was Confederacy.
Yeah.
But had his name, the date he died, and I'm sitting there going, man, this dude probably got killed in that fighting. And it was like, how did this graveyard just get overgrown like that and forgotten? I mean, the last person that was like buried there, if I can remember correctly, it was like 1936 or 37.
Wow.
So it was like it was just put there and just left. And it's like, well, did all their family just pass away, move away, and it just got forgotten,
There's like an Instagram page where someone takes etchings. They go and they take etchings of all the gravestones.
I'm sorry.
And that's like art. It's okay.
Emmy, stop going on my account and typing on here.
She put, I am hungry.
Oh my goodness. Nice.
Emmy likes to troll us really bad. Really bad.
She's nothing like her mother, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit. No.
All day yesterday, Mandy. Come on, John. You like her? Why don't you hook up with her? She's sweet. Blah, blah.
I'm trying to get him a girlfriend.
I'm like, what are you playing, like the dating game? I'm sitting here at work. I was literally at work yesterday working on a car.
He's the one sending me screenshots of him flirting with ladies. I'm like, okay, let's take it to the next level.
Flirting with somebody.
If you had seen what he wrote, Deidra, and
and if she knew the person that in question, then she would understand. It's Nancy Ritter, the one from Scream. And
she if you're watching this, I think you two need to get married.
And she is a force of nature. That's lightly.
I can go get a veil right now.
I know. Let's do it.
That's the weird thing about being a photographer. I have a lot of veils, and I have a lot of weird wedding dresses.
She'll do the photography for you, John. Let's do it.
In a graveyard. That'll be the first.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll be Beetlejuice and she can be Lydia. Yes. There you go.
Yes. Everyone's dream.
The cheerleader and her character from Scream. That would be better. You dress up as a cheerleader.
Well, we can dress Emmy up as one of the sandworms or whatever it was called.
No, I think you guys should be the characters from Scream. You can be the cheerleader, and she'll be her character that she played.
That would be
She'll
so
just be her.
weird.
She'll just be her.
Well, I'm thick, and I don't know how I'm going to look at a cheerleading outfit.
I mean, you
Let's
can make
do
work.
it. It would work. See, Deidra thinks it's a great idea too, John.
I'm a bad influence, though. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's go.
He's like,
I'm
Funny
totally
right
down
there.
to just gross everybody in America out.
I
Put
am
that
for that.
cheerleading,
Let's do it.
put that cheerleading outfit on, fat boy.
You two can recite like that whole scene.
And then that requires me actually learning lines,
There's not that many.
and I'm lazy.
Not that hard. I promise you. Let's just do it. Okay. All right.
Back on subject, Mandy. I know your mind is like, really want to hook John up. Really want to get him hooked up.
I had a few more people. I should say them right here, but he'll be like, no, don't do it.
Because you're being nice.
Maybe. I shouldn't be. Teacher's like, why are you being nice?
I was like,
She's like, that's
this is
not Mandy.
interesting.
It's interesting. She's trying to be nice by not trying to say, like, Mandy's not nice.
You're not
That's right.
nice.
Yeah, I've kind of picked up on that. I've known Mandy for over a year now.
I'm nice.
You'll say
She's
nice
mis-
things to her, and she'll
She's
be like,
mischievous.
yeah.
Just a little. Just a little. Okay, so we were discussing
Her art career. And somehow
Yeah.
we got sidetracked on the dating game. My bad.
Photography.
art career. When was your first art exhibit, Deidra? I know when it was, but
My first art exhibit was this place called The Basement, and it was in, actually, that's not true. Let me back up. That was my first gallery exhibit. I did do like a show before that at this place called Euphoria, like in Spring Hill. There was like they had like a market. It was like a hookah place, and I had like a market table that I exhibited some of my photography. But my first gallery thing was this place called The Basement. It was in downtown St. Pete. And I went overboard. They were like, would you like to show? And I brought like 30 like poster size. Like I went like in. And I did a whole series. And ever since then, I mean, I've probably exhibited a few dozen times for sure since then.
But you're probably not the first one to ever overdo it. I've seen guys that go to Comic-Cons and stuff, and it's like you could totally tell it's their first time going because they'll have like stacks of prints like that. It's like, dude, it's 2 days. You're not going to sell all that.
I still have some of that stuff because I overdid it so many shows in the beginning. They're like literally in my inventory. I'm like, I still have, because you learn as you go on, like you learn the circuit and how to exhibit and what to do. And in the beginning, you don't know. You're just happy to be there, and you show up and you're like, look, I got everything I own right now. And you just bring every single thing, and you're like, God damn, I spent so much money on printing, and I still have a lot of those. I still have a lot of them, but that's okay. They'll be like archived. They'll be historic. One day when I'm dead, they'll be worth something. Somebody will have to go into my attic and throw all this shit away one day. But yeah, so that was 2012. So 10 years ago.
can.
Yeah, because I was
Let's see
looking
if
at
it'll open.
your bio. Yep, Basement, and you did St. Pete Museum of Fine Art.
Yes, that was fun. Oh, can I tell you a story about that show?
Yeah, do it.
Is that what we want to do? Okay, so that show was interesting because this is a perfect example of like how my brain works and what happens. They said, go into the Museum of Fine Art in downtown St. Pete, find a piece of work and do a modernized version of that work. And then I had to speak about it and like on a floor of like 300 people. So this is like one of my first times exhibiting. Obviously I like talking, but I was not prepared for that. But instead of like going in there and being literal, I literally went in there. I found this piece of work that I loved, and then I just created this this series that was like a dead body, and this girl like over the dead body screaming, and then like I just did whatever I wanted to do, I didn't like follow the literal explanation of how like actually creating that. I just did what I wanted to do and like made it fit, and then spoke about it in front of the public. And I'm pretty sure I said something like, I talked about my philosophy on suffering and how important it is, and the whole like gambit of it. And I was like, that was really a fun experience to have your work, and it was exhibited in the museum during that show. So I was like I felt super honored to even be there, you know, like new artists.
Thinking about it, that you could clearly describe that in so many ways, as a person's sadness of the person being dead, just different things you could come up with, or just try to get the person to wake up, like, hey, you know, just different things.
To me, it was basically like a masochism. Like basically the body was that person, the female, and like the person had been dead, but they were sitting next to the body dying also. Instead of getting up and walking away, they were also dying. They were dying by mourning. They were mourning to their own death, basically. So I have that work still. I have that series. It's actually in my studio.
I would love to see that. Is that on your Facebook?
Yeah, it is. I can send it to you afterward. I have 2 specific ones that I created. And
I love art.
It's a funny story too, because it was shot in an abandoned home, and I ate a dead corpse in the home with meat and blood and bones, and I like a fake skeleton, and I created a body, and then we had to leave it there because it was like I knew you would find that funny.
No, that's fucking awesome to me.
Somebody found it
there for the next person. They're probably freaking out, like, "Oh my god!"
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
hey,
great.
It's art, folks. Chill out. But
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take it with you? It had like meat and organs. I was like, I'm good. I'm not taking it.
You should have just stuck a sign in his hands going, "I was a prop."
I was like, somebody's gonna find that and actually be scared for a minute and like think it was actually a body. Fact. There's no way.
That's great.
I would. Yeah.
Hey, Steve Merlo, if you ever watch this, you might want to talk to Deidra. She can create you a dead, because he's doing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film, and Mandy's the production assistant.
Nice. That's cool. Yay. We're supposed to be filming something, Jeremy, my husband Jeremy, we're supposed to do a music video when he comes home from tour, and it's I'm not sure if this one specifically, or we're doing some stuff. I can't talk too much about it, but something to do with like, it's supposed to be pretty grimy. So creating some cool stuff with blood would be excellent. It's always my favorite.
Speaking of your husband, Jeremy, with his band and everything, I'm sorry, I keep getting poked by a kid.
It's okay.
It's just not.
They poke you inside, they poke you outside. That's what kids do.
I noticed this. But you had mentioned Jeremy's band. They're actually coming out with a new album.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's going to be coming out, and I can't talk too much about that because it hasn't been released, but it's in the works. It's already done. There's a lot is going to be announced very shortly for Inhuman Condition. They have an album out now called Rat God, which there's been a few tours for, and lots of stuff going on with that, and a bunch of videos on YouTube that you can see. And Jeremy and I filmed, I believe, almost all of the videos together. There was one that wasn't, somebody else had done, but we've done all produced and filmed all of them. We're doing everything in-house. So it's been a learning curve because that's been new for us.
I would love to have Jeremy on if he would ever want to come on with us at some point, because I grew up, my dad's a musician.
Yeah.
And I love talking to musicians because I love music. I mean, all different types. And yeah, I mean,
can you put the
he would be interested. I would still be open to it.
He's amazing, and he's incredibly creative mind, and like we work very well together because we're kind of like flow. We have like different, and like we can like orbit very easily, very well. But he's incredibly motivated and creative. Like he's like a powerhouse, and he has so many bands. Him and his friend Taylor, who lives with us, who's like a brother. He's like family. Taylor just got, he's now the new guitar player in Deicide. So, and, you know, they're also in Human Condition together. And Jeremy is also the drummer for Venom Inc. So there's just a lot going on in that department. But yeah, he would probably absolutely love to be on.
That's a big deal. Deicide. I mean, those that don't follow the metal community, Deicide is a very legendary. They're death metal, I think.
Yeah,
Or
Florida death metal. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
he's the new guitar player.
Florida was ground zero in the 90s for death metal. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that. I mean,
No.
you had Cannibal Corpse, you had Death, you had, I think, Napalm Death. Different bands came out.
Yeah, I'm currently reading the death metal Bible. Basically explains the entire history of everything, obituary, the whole massacre, the whole thing, the whole history behind it, which is really interesting. And a lot of art came out of that. A lot of like really interesting and prolific art comes out of still to this day. I mean, Cannibal Corpse has like, you know.
Yeah, I got in trouble in high school and almost got suspended for wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt.
I think Jeremy did too. He had I'm trying to remember. He would be best to tell the story, but he had all these satanic shirts and he got in trouble in school. It's really great.
Yep. Doesn't help when you wear a shirt to school that says "butcher at birth" on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I think we have all of the Cannibal Corpse somewhere in here.
Has he ever listened to Voodoo Gods, which is a Corpse Grinders side project? I love that band. They got that old, I can't never say his last name correctly, but Chuck Schindler, I think. Schuldner from Death. They have that melodic sound to them, and it's awesome.
We just did, we were in Tampa at the Brass Mug because Jeremy was doing sound. They were doing a 2-day tribute to Death. So a lot of bands and local other bands from out of town, and people came with a lot of like Death memorabilia and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see that and be a part of it and see some of that history.
Now with Jeremy, do you do all their album covers?
I do, actually. Most of them, I would say. They're current in Human Condition band. The art is done by a gentleman named Dan Goldsworthy out of the UK. Brilliant artist, amazing artist. He's doing work. I think he did like, I want to say Cradle of Filth. He did a Corpse Grinder as well, like album cover. Like he's really an amazing artist. But as far as like the photo, I don't do any of the album art. I do all of their photography, like all of their photos for all the projects. So it's really fun to collaborate with that. And then the other projects as well. Like I've done all the modern, he's in a band called The Absence and did all of those, and just lots and lots of stuff.
I've always been glad to see death metal kind of survive because it's always been looked at as kind of the outcast of music, very much so. And I'm like, there's a lot of death metal I like, and there's a lot of black metal. I'm sorry. I mean, I know everybody has their own particular taste, but I've listened to some black metal, and it's like, dude, it sounds like they're all playing in a garage, and there's no rhythm to it whatsoever. It's just, and I'm like, and people are over there, greatest song ever. I'm like, that sounds like shit, bro.
I think a lot of it was intentionally made to sound that way. You know, they were.
But. And I don't want to get the hate from the black metal community, but I was like, but then when I go and I listen to bands like Death and Cannibal Corpse and Deicide, different ones, there was song structure to it and all that, and I really loved it.
You would love In Human Condition them, because Taylor and Jeremy were in that band Massacre for a year, and this was a few years ago, and they wrote the whole album for Massacre, but that imploded and that never came out. That album that was written for Massacre became In Human Condition. So if you like Florida death metal and you like that history and that sound, you'll love it.
I keep hoping that someday Death will make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I'm pretty sure that'll never happen because it's all political pretty much, and they're never going to let a death metal band, and especially there should be a separate Hall of Fame. A heavy metal Hall of Fame.
Well, I was really optimistic because Gojira is one of my favorite bands. And I think, and I could be wrong and I'm misquoting this, but I believe that they had like the #1 album at one point in America. And that's a metal band. That's a heavy metal band, you know? So like that being, I was like, there's still optimism there and hope that, you know, different genres have a chance as well, and not just, you know, R&B and things like that, which is also cool, but like, you know, there needs to be a balance, you know?
Luke, our other host, would love you because he loves Gojira.
I love Gojira. I got to see them like side stage, like up close, and I was like, man, I love Gojira, their new album. Huge fan. I was like,
And-
actually, like, I'm not super nervous around people. When I saw them, I was like, I was a little nervous.
Yeah, Gojira, I want to say their lead singer used to play with Max Clavera in Soulfly, didn't he? At one point.
Cavalera, I don't
Clavera,
know. Yeah, I would have to look that up. I had never heard that, but it could be. I mean, everything is so intertwined.
And I love
no
Cradle.
idea what both of you are talking about at all.
And I love you listen to horror punk music, mate.
Yeah, I was telling Taylor that yesterday. I was telling him how I know you and like all the whole thing, and I was like, you were always in like horror punk. See? There you go.
Horror punk.
Yeah.
And see that,
and
going back to our childhoods, me and listening to that kind of music just reinforced that fact to everybody that I was killing virgins, murdering pets, and worshiping the devil.
I mean,
probably did, John.
I mean, let's be real. You were.
I mean, my family's like, oh, he's always listening to that stuff. And I'm up in my room, and you go in there, and I've got like Iron Maiden and Cannibal Corpse posters. And I think I had one of Nikki Sixx with like biting into a fake human arm. But he had the headband on with the pentagram.
John? How many sacrifices?
I can't tell you that.
He's sitting here trying to plead his innocence, and it's like, I don't think so, John.
Well, the metal community and like the you know, like the music community has embraced like me very like effortless. So I feel at home there because I don't know, there's just so much art and open-mindedness and collaborative nature that like the art world is much different than the music world. And like the music world seems to appreciate art on a different level than the art world. Having been sort of like in the microcosm of the art world and then like being sort of like ushered into the music world, it's really interesting to see the dichotomy of perspective on art.
I might have to put your husband into contact with a friend of mine. His name is Etienne Pelissoff. He is a black metal musician out of France. And his
name sounds familiar.
He is so fucking nice that it's sickening. And I'm like, you're a black metal musician. You all aren't supposed to be this nice. And he's just such a beautiful person. And so talented. He actually incorporates jazz into his black metal, and I have that. I'll have to send you that episode. He said the first time he showed up on stage, everybody's like, yeah, and he comes out and he has a saxophone. And he's like, all these metal purists are like, fuck this is going to be shit, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, just as soon as we started playing and I incorporated the jazz sax into the black metal, he's like, everybody was instantly hooked. I was like, yeah, because people...
Yeah, they don't realize it. Like I think it was the new Cradle of Filth that came out. We were listening to it, and I was like, "This is beautiful." Like,
yeah, Danny Filth. I'm sorry that Danny Filth to be his little 5'5" self. When he screams, it sounds like he's about 20 feet tall.
Yeah,
that dude's range is unbelievable. But like you were saying, I mean, but your art, with the way you do your art and that particular type of music, it's just a marriage made in heaven, so to speak, you know, is hell, however we want to describe it.
Marriage made in hell. It's the only place that's going to appreciate a bunch of naked people covered in blood. Chop body parts, you know. I could just be as weird as I want to be. I don't have, there's no limit. I could just, whatever comes to mind, it doesn't matter. I don't think like, oh, people are not going to understand that. And I might limit myself in some way. Nope. I just go, whatever.
Well, art's supposed to be expressive, and it doesn't always have to be flowers and rainbows and balloons and all that. Sometimes you got to be showed some more extreme things, the ugly side of life, because even on death in itself has its own beauty. Agreed. I mean, it does. I mean, death, it's like that Mudvayne song, Death Blooms. If you read the lyrics to that, there is a beauty about death because,
Well, the only reason we're alive is because we're not dead.
yeah,
You know, like, it's all leading there. We're all going there, and we're
and
all
it's such
scared
a,
of it.
everybody every day, that's the one fear that we have. Some fears come and go, but knowing your mortality,
Mhm.
because you could go to sleep one night like Bob Saget, went to sleep,
Yeah.
didn't wake
I
up.
just don't want to grow old. I don't want to be
I mean-
wrinkly and smelly because I can't
See,
take a bath.
I don't care about being old. I care about being like mean and old. Like there's people that are like old and they're just mean and like nobody wants to be around them and nobody wants to collaborate, or I don't want to be mean and old. You know, I want to be like a nice old person.
The old people are gross.
Oh, you think old people are gross? Really? I love old people. Like I always like I want to hang out, talk to old
John's like, oh my
They're
god.
so nice. She hates old people.
Love,
No,
we're in our
I don't
40s,
hate
so
them. I don't want to touch them.
You don't want to touch them? You don't have to touch
what are you
them.
going to do when you get old? You're going to be like, ew. Ew.
Exactly.
She's gonna be like, I haven't showered in a month because ew.
See? Like I know that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be that old lady. That's because
you're
we're
gonna
all
be.
going to be like that. I have not seen an old person that doesn't get like that, no matter what they say. They pay somebody to come take care of them. They give them a sponge bath like twice a week, and then they're like,
That's
ew.
awesome.
Ew.
I'm
But
looking
it doesn't
forward to
clean them though. It's like it barely cleans them. Then they have like these skin flakes that come off that look like potato chips, and
Wow, you're making
You're
this sound
talking
so
ab-
disgusting.
Mandy, you're talking about old people that aren't taken care of. There's a
You're talking
difference.
about sick people. They got potato
no, I'm
chips
talking
in their
about
skin?
people. It's all old people. Even if they start to not, even if they're taken care of, they get to a certain point and then they all have something gross.
Oh my dear God.
She's
My
an
poor
ageist.
Well, you would have got super grossed out because I was watching a Kiss concert last night and it showed when Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley wiped their makeup off. I was like, holy shit, you all got old.
Oh man, we
'Cause,
just
like-
saw Kiss. We just saw them live.
Their makeup gets all stuck in their wrinkles.
Well, no,
I
when they
mean-
put the makeup on, it pulls their skin tight, right? And then when they
Uh-huh.
wiped it off, it was like they instantly went to 70s. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, but those motherfuckers
I need
could
some of
rock.
that makeup though. It does.
They're like 95 and they're like he would like rocking out. So.
I just hate that Ace and Peter's not part of it. You know, I would like to see them finish out with.
I think
I
they
mean,
were.
they don't have. No, there's been a big stink. There's always been a big stink between Ace Frehley, Peter, Chris, and Gene and Paul.
They were all. We just saw them live in Tampa. They were all there.
No, that was Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer who replaced Ace and Peter. They're still Catman and Spaceman. But Tommy Thayer's in his 50s and Eric Singer's in his 60s.
Okay.
Both Gene and Paul are in their 70s.
Oh yeah.
Peter Chris is damn near 80, so there's no way he could even do a tour, I don't think, anymore.
Oh my God. When we were just on tour, we were in the tour van going somewhere. And I think for an hour, somebody put on, I think it was Jeremy, put on 45 minutes of Paul Stanley going, hey, like it was like his intros to the shows, how he talks. He's got the I don't know if it's New Jersey or Long Island, but oh my God, 45 minutes of him yelling at you.
He is Queens, New York, him and Gene, and then the other two, Paul or Peter and Ace, were from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Got that Brooklyn accent.
Oh yeah.
I love Ace Frehley. I wish I could go see because he's on tour with Alice Cooper right now, and I want to go see Alice Cooper too before he gets too old and can't tour anymore. Because if you've never seen an Alice Cooper show, it's Rob Zombie before Rob Zombie.
That's cool. Yeah, I know Paul McCartney is supposed to come through Florida here shortly, and I want to go because it's probably going to be the very last time that man tours.
Yeah, because goddamn, what's he got to be like 85 now?
105. 105. Still writing songs, probably. Man's brilliant.
And I swear to God, I think Ringo Starr made some kind of deal with the devil because that fucker never gets older. He
I know.
still looks the same.
Have you
It's
seen
like,
that?
dude, you look like
There's a
you did
picture
in
of Ringo
the
up here. There is.
The
He looks
most-
old to me.
the
He's
most-
old, so Mandy won't listen to it.
Okay.
Mandy's like, they're old. I'm not buying the album.
I don't want to listen to old people stink.
Have you listened to older musicians when they try to write new songs though?
Yes.
Sounds like freaking lullabies.
Well,
No.
sometimes they're
Yes,
stuck
it
in.
does.
No.
It sounds like they're trying to make up like the wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Who just put out an
Stuff
album
like
that was killer that they were freaking old? I can't remember though. I think old people can still create. You need to have hope in that because you're gonna get old and I'm gonna be like, you can't do anything because you're old.
Yep.
No. I disagree.
Mandy's that asshole at the show going, "Get off the stage, you old fucker. You can't do this anymore. Rock and roll's for young people only."
No,
I mean, I think
wouldn't be like
I used
that.
to think
It's just
that.
you hear the songs and they're just it's like,
But-
oh,
Believe them.
okay.
But
Okay.
sometimes they're stuck in a particular time period too. I mean, it's hard to take a glam metal band from the 80s and have them play, I don't know,
Motley
rave
Crue?
music. Yeah. And especially Vince Neil, who can't sing for shit anymore.
Ooh,
I guess they
bad.
all can't be Corey Feldman.
Oh my God, Mandy. Can we just talk about that? Can we please talk about that?
Yes, we have to
I
talk
need-
about that. We
I
really
need to
do.
talk about the
I
Corey
just
Feldman song.
did you watch the
King,
whole thing? I could
Yes,
not
I
watch.
did.
I couldn't finish it. It was too. It was like it was making my
Had
stomach
to.
go. Like, oh,
I had to.
I went back to it and it's like, and I would skip to the middle and stuff like that. And I went back to try to skip to the end, but it's just like every time it's just like only a little bit at a time. Cause that was just, did you watch that, John?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I kind of wish I had.
no, I'm so glad. Oh my God.
It's like, Corey, you're not doing any favors to your legacy, brother.
Man.
Did you see all the freaking comments to it though?
They were all good.
I
Way to go,
know.
Corey. Like they were all like praising him. Like,
Oh my
fully.
God, I was dying because somebody told him that this song was going to bring world peace.
He would have to be.
Corey.
I saw that comment and he was kidding.
I freaking hope so because it was like
his
He's
Michael
dying.
Jackson impersonation and like his like punching in the phone booth thing that he was doing, and then like, oh my God, the dance moves he was doing.
You need to listen to the Steve-O podcast where he had Corey Feldman on there. I am a big Corey Feldman fan from the 80s with all the movies that he did.
Yeah,
but
the Burbs.
But that podcast interview was so cringe because he came off as such a egotistical, self-absorbed asshole. Like low key,
Sure.
but it was
Low
like,
key.
yeah.
I mean, last time I saw anything about Corey Feldman, he was like blowing the whistle on all like the Hollywood pedophiles or something. And then he comes out with the Comeback King. So
Yeah, he did that and made a movie out of it. And then Judy Haim, who was Corey Haim's mother, was like, "Why are you making this movie and putting this out there about my dead son's, you
Yeah.
know,
getting
attacker,
molested.
you know?"
Yeah.
And I saw her point of it. It's like, dude, you didn't even get her permission on this. That's fucked. Well, I felt it was my way to honor my friend to put his truth out there. You might want to run it by his mother.
Yeah, but wasn't it a paid movie? Like you were like, it wasn't like he was
making money off it.
Yeah. So he wasn't like doing good, he wasn't like going out and sharing the information or suing anybody or doing anything to like bring awareness. He was trying to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Which do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, he raised over, I think, somebody said like $10 million to
Wow.
make it. And I'm like, well, of course people want to see it because they want to know who these people are.
Yeah, but it's funny how after that you didn't hear a thing about it after that.
And well, that's because he got threatened with all kinds of litigations and
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because
do you remember the Corey Feldman and the Angels or something? Didn't he have a band he would tour with the girls?
Yeah, and he even said that 2 of his angels were spies and they were trying to like blackmail him or kill him or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, what? You did way too much cocaine in the fucking 80s.
Man, he just sounded, it was crazy. It was amazing. You sent that to me and I was like, yes.
He told Steve-O, he goes, because he was asking about his wife, and he goes, Steve-O said, well, she's very beautiful. He goes, yeah, I don't date anybody less than a perfect 10. And I was like, dude, you are a dick. And I just turned it off. I was like, I can't.
Vaguely remember he had like a reality show with like one of his wives years ago. like years ago. Stuff like that falls by the wayside. Like, you know, when you remember, you're like, oh, didn't they do like a show? Like nobody talks about that.
The two Corys.
That one too.
But my thing is, why was he pretending to be Michael Jackson in his video?
Because he was really tight with Michael back in the day, and he's just not letting go of it. He's always, because if you go back and look, there's footage of him in the 80s where he literally could dance like Michael, you know, like almost move for move. I mean, to say Corey Feldman's not talented that would
Dream
be
a Little Dream. You remember that movie?
Yeah. But he's just so hung up on trying to be the second coming of fucking Michael Jackson for some reason. And I'm sorry, brother, but there's only one of him, and he's gone.
Yeah. Read a room. People are not.
It was just so strange. It's just such a weird video to watch, and it's just, and you're just, as you're just sitting there, you're just like, oh my god. It's like,
the
I
weird
really
part for me
can't.
was the hip hop guy just sitting in the chair on the stage. No cutscenes that were closed. It was just him on the stage, like far away. I was really uncomfortable with it. I was like,
I was paying attention to all the background dancers too, like the girls and stuff like that. Like
your husband as a musician, what did he think?
Oh, I don't even know if you saw it. I think I sent it to him, but we haven't discussed it because he's on tour. So, like, I was like, wow. I'm sure he'll watch it. It's crazy.
Everybody needs to watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Morgan. He's
not to spread like awareness and love for his video. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that you really just can't not watch. That it has.
Well, if you're one of those tinfoil hat people, like everyone's right now, like all the conspiracy theories and stuff going on in the world, you'd be like, Corey Feldman came in to distract us all. It's a fear tactic.
Yeah, he's that car wreck over there that we can't look away from. It's like, ooh,
right. They're like, you know what we'll do? We'll strategically place the Corey Feldman video, and then everybody will forget about all this other shit going on in the world. It's the butterfly effect. We don't realize how important it is right now.
Aw.
Yeah, our government's like, let's play that Corey Feldman.
There's a button somewhere, and someone's like, and cue Corey Feldman.
Hey, your husband's on here.
He said that he watched it.
Yeah, I watched it.
You did watch it. Okay.
He says it was unreal terrible.
Watch it 3 times. I keep going back trying to finish it. It's just, I don't know, I just really had a hard time sitting through the whole thing, but then I keep paying attention to everything else that's going on and all the contour on his face to look like Michael. It was like, oh my God, this is just, it was very uncomfortable.
He even does that one little hair string that hangs down like Michael.
I know. He has so much like oil in his hair or something too, or he didn't shower for like a month and then did the video.
Well, he's very old, Mandy, so you hate him. So
yeah, he's old.
It's like, dude, what happened to you at Neverland Ranch? Because he used to go stay there all the time.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Did they have you in like a Manchurian Candidate type program there where they were just flashing videos to you and reprogrammed your brain?
Injections of Michael Jackson's DNA. They were just giving him shots every day.
Watching Thriller on a loop. Just constantly.
Oh my God.
I mean, he really was like, there were like just a Thriller in there, like that whole like, and that he. Red jacket. I mean, on. Anyway,
people are going to think I hate Corey Feldman because we do talk about him a lot on the show.
I think you're obsessed with him, but I'm sorry, but
you should have him on.
I think I hate him. That video is just kind of like, it's time to retire.
He's just the gift that keeps on giving, though. That's just the thing.
You should have him on. He should explain
himself. I kind of
himself.
secretly hope that he keeps making these really horrible music videos because.
Me too. I hope he does forever.
He's kind of like them island boys. He's just going to go to the top of the charts with a really shitty song.
South Florida, man. Very South Florida.
And then there's your husband, Jeremy, who is a musician that knows how to make music.
Yeah, it's like he's amazing.
But we could just sit in the pool and just go, I'm an island boy. It's like
someone said that they ripped off that song from someone. Did you hear that? Like that song was a rip off of. I had heard someone say like line it up and say it was like a rip off of another song, but who knows? Probably just.
No, they went to a UFC fight not too long ago and tried to start shit with one of the actual UFC fighters that was sitting in the crowd. It's like, brother, you don't want that smoke. These guys are trained to kill people.
Yeah, but I want to see it. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I want to see that. It's like do it, but
yeah,
shoot your shot, kid. See how it works out for you. Yeah, see how it works out for you.
I'm that person that's gonna sit there and be like, it's a terrible idea. They might get hurt, but it's like, go ahead.
Well, we wouldn't have to ever worry about him again, thank God. Because I'm pretty sure he'd be eating through his asshole for the rest of his life.
I think they're twins. Aren't they twins, those boys?
Unfortunately, the mother gave birth to two of them.
Copy paste.
I saw pictures of them prior to the whole Island Boy thing, and it was like, dude, you all look so fucking lame. And then it's like overnight you went into some terrible tattoo artist and got all this shit tattooed on you and just decided to put dreadlock extensions in or something.
Yeah, I first saw them like on TikTok. Like they came up on TikTok and people would just rip them to shreds about how they look. And that's pretty much how I think that they even became known.
Yeah, they became famous.
Yeah.
For being shit.
Yeah, by people hating them. That sucks. That sucks for them.
Damn, you can even make it big getting hated. Fuck. What's wrong with the world?
Hey, if you're gonna be the best, just be the best at that too. I'm the best at being hated. But
no, ain't nobody hates you.
Me? Everybody needs a villain. I always say that. Everybody, somebody is a villain in someone's story, right?
Yeah, Luke has his villain. Luke is part of our trio with me and Mandy. He has a guy over here in Hawaii called the Comic King. Luke sells comics. He owns a comic store here. And this guy named, they call him Comic King. Him and Luke are like Joker and Batman. And every Christmas, without fail, there's just fuck yous exchanged back and forth like Christmas cards.
Nice.
I want cookies now. You mentioned Christmas. You said Christmas. Now I want cookies.
What?
I want Christmas cookies.
Okay.
That's all I heard is cookies.
You're like that kid that was on Tosh Point where they were asking him something. He goes, I like turtles.
Yeah. I want to be
cookies. I don't know.
So what kind of film work have you done, Deidra? As far as like you've been in like independent films and different things, or music videos and
music videos primarily. That's what we're focused on right now. I do want to film like a short eventually, but that's sort of like down the road stages. We were just getting our feet wet. We kind of just got thrown into it because we really believe in keeping everything in-house instead of like shipping things out. Things aren't done properly or collaborating with other people. Some people just aren't, as invested or like passionate about what's going on. So Jeremy and I just kind of were like, let's just do it ourselves. He's sort of the ship on that. He's like, just going to do it. I'm like, we don't know how to do this. I'm like, yeah, we do. We're just going to do it. And then we just did. And then we did it again and again. And you kind of just trial by fire, right? Watch a lot of videos.
Me and Mandy know a lot of people that just all of a sudden were like, yeah, I'm going to do a movie, but I have no clue what I'm fucking doing.
You watch movies, I'm not trying to simplify it, but you just say like, what would I like to see in a video? How do I want this to feel? What do I want to represent and bring it together and like
Cookie Monster killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, like, she has an idea.
We'll do all the filming. Jeremy cut all the music videos. And we've done, I don't know if it was 4 at this point or 5, but it's been a huge learning experience. And there's a lot of people involved, but it's so fun. It's basically like a huge photo shoot. I love being set director. It's one of my favorite things. You get to yell cut.
That scene was shit. Redo it again.
No, nothing like that. But like the live performance stuff, that's really fun, and it's more controlled than like shooting an actual live show. You have so much more control of the environment and the lighting and make it look really magical,
Yeah, imagine shooting a live show's got to be an undertaking because you got to try to scream at all the different cameras, to switch to different cameras over the crowd noise of the band.
30 takes sometimes. Like, it's really amazing to learn that kind of thing and like how to do it. Like, all right, I listened to this song 30 times today, just different angles, and then you just bring it all together and create what goes into the world. But I love it. It's really amazing. I love film. And there's so much to learn about it. There's, we're just scratching the surface, really,
Yeah, a buddy of ours, the one that Mandy helps, Steve Merlo, that's what he always advises the people. He's like, if you're going to do a movie, start out with a short film. It's like dipping your toe in the water and kind of getting accustomed to camera angles and your shot lists and different things like that, which she'd know more than me on that because she's the one that's helping to set up all that stuff. Like, I don't know what the hell a shot list is. And I guess that's where you break down a scene and you just kind of, okay, well, I'm going to do a close up here, or I'm going to pan out here and do that.
Yeah, and there's all names for those shots.
You go by certain lines that the actors are going to be saying, and then it lets you know what camera angle and everything like that, basically, what they're supposed to do. Zoom in on this thing. Zoom in on their nose when they say happy.
It achieves a certain feeling. Like, all of it comes down to what exactly are you trying to create, like you can have somebody sitting completely still, and how you film that can create an environment. That's fucking cool. Simple as that.
Yeah. And normally it's your director of photography that handles that, but in an indie film, it's normally the director that has to do that and everything else. So
yeah, and I come from the photography side, so like I already see things in a certain way, and then bringing it into movement is really amazing. Like, it's just an extension, But yeah.
Emmy escaped.
Oh no.
Oh, she's been hiding back there that whole time?
Yeah, the door got stuck. So she was like sitting here trying to figure out how to get it open. And
she was super quiet because normally she's like, rah, 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 and
well, she wrote a few things and you didn't respond to them, so she gave up. She's like, oh, they're not paying attention to me. Because it says poopy, poopy, poopy. Ha, 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 ha. So she was trying.
Nice.
These guys are losers. They're not paying no attention to me. I'm out. Chucks deuces. Leaves.
Mm-hmm. That's what Emmy does, though. She has to sit there and do this all the time. But Deidra paints as well.
Yeah.
You want to ask her about that?
Yeah. Well, I went to art school for a little while, and I've told this many times, and I hated it, and I quit because my natural drawing style is cartoonish, right? I had a Nazi, basically. I hate to say that, but she was just hard as fuck to deal with because everything I did in her eyes was shit.
Really?
She come from the fine art side of the house, and me and this other cat, he was very comic bookish, and me, I'm this guy that draws over exaggerated hands and feet, and it's just art style. A lot of people don't realize art style is like your fingerprint or your voice or anything like that makes you. And it was like she just didn't register that at all. And they
say art school ruins artists.
It almost killed my passion for it. It really did.
What kind of, so you did like comic type, comic book type? Okay. That's cool. That's a whole amazing genre. But did you do actual comics like you did the boxes, I guess is to question it, or are you just doing a scene, like cartoonish type art?
Yeah, we were doing portraits, landscape drawings, different things like that. But then she would have those models come in to draw anatomy, and that's where she just eat me alive. And I told her, I said, ma'am, you got to understand. I said, I have been drawing this way my entire life since I learned how to draw. And you want me to just change it up just like that? I said,
and learn your way.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's like playing a guitar, and then you want me to go over and play the drums. I mean, if I've never done either or before, it's going to take me some time to learn it. And I just
it's really,
I'm just going to finish this semester. That's what I told myself, is I'm going to finish this semester so I don't have to pay that money back. And then I was like, fuck this, I'm done. And I didn't go back.
about artists out of art school or didn't go. Like my most favorite, most prolific is self-taught.
Friends asked me if I could have a sleepover.
Yeah, I was totally self-taught. I have no...
Yeah.
Well, I was self-taught, but I think I had teachers in the form of like Kevin Eastman and Neil Adams and different comic book artists, because I used to like try to emulate their style all the time. And then next thing I know, I'm drawing like cartoon characters with oversized hands and shit.
Well, it's stylized, and that's what nobody should from, you know. Like I love create certain things and what I like it to look like, or what I have to do to be photo it's not interested in at all. Mindset is do right, we'll learn how to break the rule. But that it's really boring and interesting photorealism, anatomy, and Michelangelo and Musser, you know, everything. I understand that philosophy of it, but not everybody needs to do that. To realize what I learned along being this is that we're going to be the best. There's somebody new, right? There's always somebody that can be better, doing it longer. This learn something, but you can't and you do what actually your voice and what you bring is unique. Nobody can do that. Nobody else is better than that than you. So I think that we all get caught up in the social media and the seeing what's popular and seeing what gets a ride to the top. And a lot of people will bend their personal interests to go into that vein instead of just staying with their true voice, regardless of the ride. And we all have fallen victim to that from time to time, you know. And we were talking earlier about, you know, death metal and whatnot. Those guys didn't, you know, jump ship to something more popular, you know.
No.
Stay true to who they are and what they're doing and let their voice scream and be who they are, you know. That's all we can do.
Even when the metal purists were going, this is crap, this is garbage and all that, you know. Same, I mean, and even with thrash metal, they did the same thing with them, the metal purists. Did, you know, but
purist.
I don't know. I enjoy, that's kind of a funny word, isn't it?
Yeah.
But those gatekeepers, I guess I should refer to them as the ones that think, oh, this is the way it's got to be always. And it's like, well, then if it never evolves, then it's never going to, you know, carry on for future generations, because it has to evolve for that. There has to be new and fresh ideas. If everybody just comes in and just plays like Black Sabbath, eventually that's going to get old and stale and nobody's going to care anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all want to be Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I was about to say, okay, John, but all right. I know Black Sabbath, but that's it.
I mean, really, that's
the extent of my knowledge. Sorry.
She has lived so much in this horror punk bubble that she just...
It's not just horror punk. It's like my punk music. It's like my favorite band, like ever, was the Dead Kennedys. So it's...
But even they had, outside of their genre, music that they enjoyed. Mandy's like, I don't care. There's no other music but punk music.
I mean, it's like I've heard of certain things, but I can't sit there and tell you who their firstborn child was that they sacrificed to the gods and everything like that, like you two know. It's like, sorry.
Oh, I don't even know. I'm not an encyclopedia. Jeremy knows like the names of all the band members and the years the albums come out, and like he is very intelligent and passionate about it. sometimes I'm like, my favorite band, I couldn't even tell you sometimes the name of the people because I just listen to the music and enjoy it. And he knows who did this and who produced it and where it was recorded and who the people that mixed it. And like, that is a whole nother level of music, is like who's mixing the albums. Like he'll buy albums based on like who mixed it, who produced it. Like that's amazing. That's a whole nother like unspoken language.
I mean, like thrash metal that we were just talking about, that was born from punk rock, old 70s punk rock, just sped up with distorted guitars.
Yeah. Everybody wants to take something and add on to it, make it their own, make it faster.
Okay, the little one's back again. Okay.
Make it faster, make it different, make it something, which is what I was talking about. Like people want to be unique and they want to have their own voice and set themselves apart. And I get that, you know, and they were trying to do that. But eventually you run out of variants.
Yep.
You know, and you're like, well, then you bring in a saxophone, like you were saying.
Hey, a s'more.
Emmy made me a s'more.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, some music that like is really interesting lately is like Nordic folk music for me, like tagel harps and things like that, like drums and.
I love Viking metal.
Yeah, like Viking metal. Like there's this band called Wardruna. Really cool.
Yeah, I like them too.
I'll send it to you. It's definitely not Corey Feldman, but you might be interested in it.
But Corey's like my favorite.
I know you celebrate his entire catalog.
Yes.
I have vinyl, I have 8-track, I have cassette, I have all of Corey's.
I have all of Corey Feldman's tapes.
You know, John, I'm going to sit here and I want to do like a contest where we give away like a poster of Corey Feldman, like a screenshot from his video, you know, just you need to go get him to sign it.
You're going to get a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm telling John to go do it because he's the one who's a big fan.
He's going to come. You're the one that said that you were the big fan. Yeah, I don't need him like moonwalking.
I'm a big fan of Corey Feldman.
Moonwalking.
Yeah, I don't need him moonwalking up to my door with a fucking C&D and then turning around going, ow, and then disappearing.
The only thing I want to do is I'll meet him. I'll be like, One Eye Willie.
Leaving like
Goonies.
fairy glitter and shit as he poofs out of existence.
I'm a little embarrassed how many Corey Feldman movies I remember just now. I was like, oh.
I know.
But he was big in the 80s. I mean, he literally was the child star of child stars in the 80s. I mean, him and Corey Haim. Jesus Christ, I remember every magazine had them two on it. It was like Tiger Beat and 16 and all that shit. Two Coreys.
That's back when magazines used to like.
Yeah, but I always thought Corey Feldman was the ugly one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Haim was the one everybody kind of gravitated towards.
Yeah, that pretty boy look.
That future meth addict look.
Yeah, everybody loves.
I'm sorry. All right. Sorry. His name. I just said earlier I'm not mean.
But he was clean when he died, I guess. Maybe. Okay. We'll never know.
His ass might have been clean.
No, normally when you die, that's part of the dying process.
No, I mean before he died. Like
I thought you were just saying.
Before he died, he probably washed his ass and then shit himself afterwards. But that's what happened.
I'm pretty sure.
Sorry. Teacher's like, oh my God, they just said this.
And welcome to the Behind the Fiends podcast, everybody.
That was some horror business for you.
Horror. Yeah, horror. So I've actually only been painting for about 4 years now, though. And I've actually exhibited paintings, and that's really been a really cool journey too.
So do you do acrylic painting or just a straight up like watercolors? Or
I really love watercolor and I love oil. Those are my two, and charcoal. So I work in charcoal. I don't like acrylic that much. I do use it in my work, but like it's intentional in some capacity. But like usually like oil paintings, I love charcoal and watercolor, and I try to find ways to like mix them all together, like something like watercolor and charcoal. They don't necessarily go together, but I'll find a way to like do like a mixed media project with them. Yeah, so that's been really great, like exploring that whole process. And
I do remember when I took a class in art school, it was for charcoal drawing, and I hated it at first. But then after a while, when I got used to holding my hand that certain way and drawing with it, I was like, I actually like this. This is pretty cool. And just a way that you could shade and using your finger to kind of mold that. And
it's very contrasty if you look at it in a 3D aspect of like what's light and dark, right? And I love just getting my hands dirty and like using my hands and the whole charcoal process. It feels like you're sculpting, actually. So
that was the only thing from that school I kept somewhere in there is my charcoal drawings. They weren't great, but I enjoyed it, so that was all that mattered.
I'm trying to figure out and experiment ways that I can incorporate my photography and my like actual paintings. So that's sort of like a challenge. I have done it with transferring. Like I'll take like a photograph and I'll photo transfer it onto a particular medium and then paint on it. I'm always trying to find ways to like, I don't know. I love experimenting and finding new methods and using something in a non-traditional way.
Well, you said with watercolor and charcoal, how do you keep the charcoal from running with the watercolor? Because that's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, so I found a way to use a gel medium and layer it. So I can create watercolor. I can put like charcoal and then I seal it and then I can draw on top of the medium. It's an acrylic medium that's clear. And so you're kind of layering in the same way because otherwise it will smush around,
Yeah, I didn't think about that. You got to take that sealant stuff that comes in a spray can and.
Well, I use a paste actually. So it's like a medium. It's like acrylic gel and it dries pretty quickly. You can dry it and then you can paint or draw over that.
That's cool. I didn't know they had that stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy shit you can do.
Because I used to have to use the spray can shit and they would just get everywhere.
It gets on everything and it always looks like shiny or tacky. And so I experimented and on recommendation of some like artists, like what they tried or use. There's all, you go to the art aisle, there's a million mediums and different things you can use. So there's this a gel medium and you can like seal the work and then draw on top of that. So you can layer it, It's really interesting. Sometimes I'll take like a painting and I'll draw something and I'll cut it out and put it on there and then layer it again and paint over it. And it has all these different components that are like together in like a face or something, That's very surreal and spooky.
I might have to get back into charcoal drawing again.
I hope you do. It's one of my favorite things is to like just encourage people to like continue creating and push them to do the best I can because I think it makes everyone's lives better. I think, and we're all artists. We're not like, it's not like it's just me or you. It's like everybody can do it and have their own creative outlet.
Yeah, I've always said that to people. They go, well, I don't have that talent. I'm like, everybody has a talent to draw. It's just, you got to work at it.
Yeah.
That's, it's not something that I just, all of a sudden I come out the womb and I'm automatically drawing the Mona Lisa. No, it's not that at all. We all have the ability to create. It's not some gift that's only bestowed upon the few.
I absolutely believe that. Because I didn't know how to draw until 4 years ago when I sat down and decided to. And I was like, all right, I want to be able to do this. I want to learn this because I had never been able to. I painted things throughout my life. They were awful, but I did it. And then I thought, I really want to get good at this. I really want to learn what the process is. I want to fall in love with this. I want to be as passionate about this as I am about photography.
There's a comic artist out there named Jim Mahfood. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he draws in very, very like psychedelic abstract. And he's a comic book artist. And so many people are like, he's shit. I'm like, yeah, maybe you think he's shit, but he's a multi-millionaire shit, because there's people, there's comic book companies out there just scrambling for his particular style of artwork because it's unique and it brings an aspect to the book that just adds to the storytelling. It catches your eye. art doesn't
like-
always have to be perfect. It doesn't
No.
have to be perfect lines and perfect circles and shadowing and light. It's all in how you perceive it.
Yeah, I like things that are kind of chaotic, messy sometimes. My art interests and tastes shift through time. They're never the same. Same with music, but like really am starting to love abstract paintings, which in the past I never appreciated it. I thought it was like, what's that? That's just a this. But if you actually like research, like look into what abstract painting is, like it's super interesting. It's such a controlled chaos. And you're part of the process. It's such a different process than painting like a face. I don't know. I appreciate it. I love being able to look at something and see lots of different things in it. It allows you to be more interactive with the image.
Yeah, who was that artist from the 60s that did like the Campbell soup cans and all that stuff? Oh, God.
Are you talking about he was a photographer too? Are you talking about I just saw an exhibit for him. Of course my brain is going to space. You're not talking about Jeremy would remember his name probably. Hang on.
It was real. Damn it.
The guy with the blonde hair.
Yeah. Oh, shit. But anyway, I mean, he caught hell. Everybody's like, this is not traditional art. This ain't this, this ain't that. But guess what? He still remembered 60 years later for what he did.
Yeah. I saw
So
an
who had
exhibit
the last laugh?
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Everyone's going to look down on it like, oh, they have their own perspective about it, what they think it should be. I don't think that way about music at all. Like what something should have been. Like when someone's like, oh, there's a new band member and they're like, oh, I only listened to the first 2 albums because those are the original members. Like, no way. You have to take everything on its own value and appreciate it for what it is. Otherwise you're just a bummer, and you just block yourself in and you limit yourself from experiencing things except for the one thing that you surrounded yourself with at a certain time in your life.
Deidra, during the whole process and everything, like when you started off with your photography, then you went into like doing the music videos and everything, and then with your painting, has there been a time where something like completely disappointed you and just broke you and you just felt like maybe you shouldn't be doing this?
Yeah, I mean, there were a few moments in time I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, why am I killing myself? When you all of us fall victim to what we think it should be, or where we think we should be, or what we think we should have achieved in a certain period of time. And those expectations aren't met. We tend to like get really, really hard on ourselves. The whole journey's fucked up. You didn't meet the goal, or you didn't hit some mark, or some success didn't come the way you wanted it to. And those moments are hard for all of us. It's a very internal process. Like, I think one of those moments, like there were things and moments in time where I didn't like. I was a finalist, and specifically I was like a finalist in the Beautiful Bizarre Art Prize, like 2 years in a row. But the first year that I was, now they're in Australia, they're an amazing magazine outlet, and they're super supportive of artists. Every year they do something called an art prize, and they have a panel that selects the best artists in the world. You have to enter, but then a panel of other artists selects you. I was a finalist for like the top, I think it was 25 photographers in the world. And it was selected by other photographers and artists that I admire. And that blew my mind. Or one photo. Like you can submit lots of different photos. I submitted one and somehow made it like to the end. And that was amazing. That's the first stage. The second stage was a popular vote to win. And I wanted to win. I wanted to win so bad. I was like, I wanted this to happen so bad because I thought that it would push me into a place that I wanted to be or have the reach I wanted to have. And it went to the popular vote. And no matter how much support I have online, I don't have that level of support. I didn't have that much of a reach, and other people, who were also great artists and great work, it was a disappointment. I had to regroup. I'm pretty sure that year after that, I didn't shoot that much. I had to regroup. I had to like reset my mind and reestablish my relationship with what my expectations were, what my creative process was. And I honestly think that all of us go through that. I know it's very common.
Yeah.
It's really common to like easily go like, well, I'm shit. Fuck. I don't have enough of a following online to win this. Like, and then you start thinking, you get angry about the internet and angry about the way the algorithms work and why this person and why is this person. And they were really supportive. The people that, you know, I could tell, you know, it sucks. And the people around me were amazing. Everybody showed up to vote for me. And I mean, that in itself is a win, you know, having support and having the respect of your peers. Fuck the rest. I had to get there though. I wasn't there. Like, fuck the rest and like let it be. Wasn't where I was at in the beginning, you know? I was just really sad about it because I was like, you know, you think in your mind like a child. I was like, I want it so bad that I will get it. But that's not how the world works, you know? It's there to humble you.
But then we're not perfect, because then sometimes I'm guilty of this. You get impatient and you're like, well, I want it now. I don't want to have to wait. I want something to happen now. And even Mandy's had to have that talk with me. She's like, John, it takes time. It's not going to just happen overnight, because
No.
I beat myself up sometimes as an artist too. Like I'd be like, well, my social media following's not this. And then I got to the point where, why am I so worried about social media? Because I do a podcast. I mean, just because they're not following me, that doesn't affect my podcast. My podcast is something entirely different. And I had to like reprogram my mind to think like, fuck social media. It's a tool, but it's not the beginning and the end to what I'm trying to do, or what me and Mandy are trying to do. You know, and I don't know. I tend to beat myself.
It does take time. It does take time. And Jeremy tells me all of the time, he's like 10 years of pushing and working is a mark where things go over. He always says that. Someone said that to him, and then he said that to me, you know, and we're at the 10-year mark now, basically. And so like, I'm seeing a difference now, and maybe it's just how we approach it or how we view it, how our relationship is with the it that is the passion or the drive to even do any of these things, right? It's your view and the vehicle, how it's a part of you, but not part of your value, you know, and the whole philosophy around that. And I know that my relationship with it is on a completely different level now than it used to be. It's way more fluid and positive, you know, and I'm watching things happen and bloom on their own. Whereas before you just wanted it so bad and you felt like it wasn't happening. And now it's just happening on its own because you made the ripples and you put it out there and you kept going and you didn't give up. And I think someone had said to me, somebody smart with a lot of paper and pens probably wrote this down somewhere, but it said the difference between being good and being great is not giving up. And that's the simple truth. So we all have down moments and we all have disappointments. And I think it's really okay to lick your wounds, and it's okay to kick the walls and cry and stomp and be a fucking baby about it.
But I can't say you and Jeremy have the relationship that I hope that I have someday with somebody, because she's lucky to have you, Jeremy, and you're lucky to have her, because you two center each other. You keep each other focused on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask, is a support system to be there for one another.
He's amazing.
I tried to get you that last night.
Sean?
Yeah, John. Like, you're sitting here saying, I only hope to have that one day. It's like, whatever.
It's as possible as the whole thing we were talking about. Everybody can be an artist. I know that now, like, especially with my relationship with Jeremy is so important to where I'm at, like, as far as like support, because people want you to slow down. Why do you care so much about that? Or like try to like push you into whatever they think that they want. He's like, go. Like, he just is like, go. And he supports wherever I go, whatever I want to do, and vice versa. So it's like, it's really cool. It's be able to do that. It makes you feel like you can do anything, you know?
That's like last night, Mandy, me and Luke recorded, and because I don't get the scene too often, and he was sitting there going, man, I've been watching you all week. He's like, you've been going, because I set up a new website. I got the podcast as an LLC now, got the trademark stuff, and I was just going and hunting guests and all this stuff.
And then you have
And
to
he's
jump
like,
in volcanoes to visit each other, so that's pretty hard.
yeah. And then he's like, dude, you need to take a day off. You got to just slow down. I said, if I slow down, then I'm going to miss something.
Yeah.
I have to keep going.
Yeah. The momentum becomes toxic sometimes,
Yep.
though. Like you learn, you need to regroup. The regrouping part was great. I used to, when I first started shooting, it was obsessive, like voracious obsessive. I shot every single day in my house, traveling every day I had to, because if I didn't, I was missing an opportunity. Like you're saying, I wasn't giving it respect or growing it, you know? And then I did that every day for so long. I remember like having hard drives, just like hundreds and hundreds of shoots. And you think about how many places I've stood and how many people I've stood in front of and how many moments I created and stuff. And then there were a few years ago, about the time I started painting, where I didn't shoot very much at all. And that was very unusual for me. But I was going through I was having an odd relationship with my creative process. Not that I wasn't creative or not having ideas. I almost like resented it because it didn't grow up to be the child I wanted it to be. So I was like kind of mad at it and in like some weird way where I was like, I'm going to ignore you. Like it was there, but I was being a brat with it because I was like, you know, like I was like, I'm not going to pick that camera up and shoot because you're just not what I want you to be. And that's weird. So
it was kind of like having a shitty boyfriend, kind of in a sense. Like I'm just going to ignore you.
Yeah. I had a very abusive relationship with my creative process. Totally. I was in an abusive relationship with myself, like, you know, where I like, and that's not uncommon. I'm just very vocal about it. Like I just vocalize it and other people go like, yeah, I understand. Because it happens to all of us, especially if you have that kind of passion and drive, you know?
That's what I like about Mandy's artwork too, is she puts a lot of her actual feelings and emotions into it. Like
yeah, you paint, Mandy, right?
Well, no, I paint, but mostly I do a lot of cartoon drawings and everything like that because that's what I like to do. Or my Universal Monsters, out flipping a bird. That's my favorite thing. But
And
yeah, I do paint and stuff like that. But I'm more into the actual cartoon stuff because I'm actually working on a book and everything. So I'm hoping that will take off as soon as I'm done with her. Her name is Demon Girl, but her name is my name. It's Deeman.
Oh.
Demon. So, but I had gotten the idea because the first time I drew her, she's actually eating a pizza, but gonna kill it because my niece was going through some things, and she told me, she's like, "Oh, I want a pizza so bad today," and she just kept texting it to me while I was at work. So it ended up being my doodles on my pad. It's like I had like this little demon girl, like just wanting to murder this pizza because it was just the way that she was acting, my niece. So it's like, so that was kind of the inspiration behind it. So that was the first story, her murdering a pizza.
I would buy that.
I'm still going to get the calf tattoo of your Boris Karloff mummy flipping the bird on the back of my calf. So
it's great. And I told you, I triple dog dare you, so he has to now.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, it's funny how we don't, I don't know. I think that it's really healthy to just go with it and let it be whatever it's going to be. And it will happen. That's the one thing I've learned from Jeremy. A million things, but he always says that to me. He's like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's just going to unfold, you know? And whatever you're doing and how the process is going and the show and like all the things, it's going to happen, you know? So you just keep going.
I don't know. I don't want to be famous. I just want to entertain people, I guess.
Corey Feldman. Now I want him to do like a whole like little video spoof, like him as Corey Feldman singing his song and everything, dancing. You gotta do the moves.
I gotta find a phone booth, and that's not very common around here.
See, that's the whole thing. I always said, like, the only thing I really wanted to do was affect people, right? whatever degree affect people around me positively, or, you know, like just infect my environment, you know, and I'm doing that. So, you know,
I never got to share this with you yesterday, Mandy, but a guy reached out to me on Facebook, and he told me that his son, who I don't know exactly what his disability might be, but he religiously watches and listens to us without fail. And that meant everything in the world to me.
that's
Because
cool.
that right there was like, okay, as long as I've got that one guy out there that wants to listen to what I got to say, that one teenager kid,
You say some really bad things on here, John.
he's a teenager. I don't like convey
What's the
the truth.
rating? What's the rating of the show?
Well, me and
Is it an
Luke,
R?
me and Luke can get, you know, pretty immature, but me and Mandy keep it relatively tame. We do. Now we talk crazy shit when we're not recording. No, if you go and watch the Nancy Ritter interview, yeah,
Oh my
that
gosh. I
that
love
guy.
Nancy though. That's the woman that he's supposed to marry, but he just won't listen to me.
Going down the wrong path, John.
Yeah, I know. But you know, that just meant so much to me. It was like, damn, bro. I mean, I got a young man out there who just enjoys what we do. And
Yeah, you don't realize that, how you affect people. You don't, because you're in your bubble, and you never realize how many people you're reaching that look forward to what you're putting out there, you know. That's a fact.
then it's at the same time I felt like, well, hell, I've got this responsibility now. I have to always come across as genuine and as me and never change who I am, so I can keep influencing young people like that to maybe do what I do or do what you do or what Mandy does, you know?
What do I do, John?
You're grumpy.
See, I didn't have to say a word.
DJ's like, I didn't say it. I'm so sweet.
But I sent that kid some t-shirts.
You're not that grumpy.
I sent that kid some t-shirts from the merch store yesterday, just as a thank you.
That's cute.
Where's my merch?
You got to draw something for me.
Why do I have to draw something to get a shirt?
Because you have to make the shirt, and then you can have a copy of it.
I made all the other logos. I wanted it to be original, a Mandy original.
Uh-huh. I want that shirt, by the way.
See, John, now you have to send it to Deidra.
Okay.
You haven't made it yet.
Maybe I have. Maybe it's in my head right now. Maybe I'm that good.
Why don't you do your demon girl with blonde hair?
With the pizza. It could be the black heart, the black Valentine heart, and it could be like...
Oh my God, that'd be cute. I need to do that. Little black Valentine. I'm going to make that one part of one of the stories. Not when I was dying on Deidre's apartment floor from alcohol poisoning.
We haven't talked about that.
Story time with Mandy.
All right, so Mandy
I got lots of them.
was notoriously straight edge in high school. Never had a drop. Didn't smoke a cigarette. She never did any of that stuff, ever. So
see, I was a good girl.
She was. She never did anything. I don't remember how it came about. Was that the first time you drank?
No, I had drinks before then, but I never drank like that. It's like I might have had I had like a drink or two for like my birthday.
Shots.
Were we doing shots? What? I don't remember what happened that night. How am I supposed to remember? All I remember.
I mean, I was drinking too, so
I was puking and.
Oh my God. Alcohol poisoning.
Alcohol poisoning.
I was there for that.
He's like, you're not telling the whole story. It's like, we don't have the whole story, okay? But alcohol.
Well, you drank and then you almost died. That's the story.
Yeah.
Everything in between's a blur.
That seemed to happen a lot around me. I had a couple friends overdo it.
Oh my God. You remember that?
This is going to be good.
Oh my God. The time you came. Oh my God. You had
What did I?
gone up to Brooksville and you came home and you're like, oh my God, you're like shaking and everything. It's like you drove back shaking because you almost blew somebody's head off with a rifle because you didn't realize
That
it was
happened.
loaded.
Did I go to your house after that?
No, it's when we were living in Tampa together. It's like you came back home and you're like, oh my God, you're still shaking and everything.
I'm
Like
still
it literally
traumatized
just
that day.
happened. You're like, it literally just happened and you
Yeah.
drove home.
So what had happened was I was out in Hernando Beach with my boyfriend at the time's brother was like 17, 18, and he had bought a shotgun, and I believe it was called a Persuader. I don't know anything about guns. And he was just getting into some shit that he shouldn't have been getting into, needed a gun or whatever. I didn't ask questions. So he was like, I was like, whoa, I'd shot guns before. I wasn't like scared of guns. I had a pretty decent respect and understanding of guns. I'd shot at ranges. He handed me this gun and I said, is it loaded? And he unloaded it in front of me. Okay. So then hands it to me. And I said, this is my fault. So we're like on an L shape. So we're diagonally straight across from each other. I had the gun in his direction and I turned it over and I said, is the safety on? And as I turned it over, it went off in his direction. There was a chambered shell. So he handed me he didn't unload the whole thing. I thought, so you get false safety. I saw it unloaded. I was holding it improperly. I think I was like 18 or something at the time, or 19 or whatever.
19.
Yeah. So in a house, drywall was through walls, drywall, there's pellets, there's smoke. I see him fall over, slump over the couch onto the ground. My brain goes, obviously, that person's dead.
Yeah.
It was in the realm of his face. So, and it blew. So in my mind, he had no head and fell over and he's dead. And I like panic and you just hear ringing. It's like a movie. I can't see anything. I'm screaming their name. I mean, if anybody's ever heard that happen, that's like a thing. So I go over and I ran out of the house, actually. That's what I first
did. You came straight home.
I ran out of the house and then I came back in. Yeah, I freaked out. I freaked out. I went outside, came back inside, and he got up. So it missed him by like that. Went through the wall, through another wall. It was really traumatizing, actually. And then it was his father's house, and it was on the water. So somebody was going to call the fucking police. And at the time, like, it just wasn't like a good situation, like at all. So we like put tape over the bullet hole and then went to the park and just sat there. And I was like just freaking the fuck out. I'm thinking like I could have gone to jail for the rest of my fucking life. Like, that's why, like, man, there are moments in life that we talk to people about how like one moment can change your life. Yeah. One bad decision. I could have ended up in prison. Like, you can't judge people for making a mistake and be like, oh, what a fucking moron. Yeah, I could have been that moron. I go into that like thinking that would happen. People make bad choices all the time and it changes the course of their life. And I was just lucky enough for nothing to go over that line, because there were many moments where that could have happened. Yeah, I didn't know that I told you about that. That's interesting.
You were like, you came home and you're just like, you're freaking shaking and everything.
Yeah, I was traumatized. Any loud sounds like freaked me out for like years. Like, go to Home Depot, somebody drops the drywall, you're like, PTSD. But I mean, I still have trouble shooting a gun because I'm afraid they're going to go off unexpectedly. Like, even though I know better and I know that, just touching a gun because it went off without my knowledge like that, I still think that might happen. So I'm kind of traumatized. I don't think I could ever be in a war very easily. I'd be like,
it just dropped.
Yeah, but stuff like that, like, I think that stuff like that, like near-death experiences will fuck you up for life.
I got shot in the leg with a .22.
Really?
One of my friends, we were just outside. I grew up, well, you can tell by my accent, I grew up in the country, right? So we were just out there in my grandfather's back. No, we were just out there in the backyard shooting, and he shot the 22, and the bullet ricocheted off something, and it felt like somebody threw a handful of dirt against my leg, and I was like, well, what is that? And I look, and I've got blood like spurting out of my calf, and I'm like, oh,
Whoa.
shit. And I'm running to the house, and my mom's in there, and she's like, oh, no. And I'm like, and she's like, I think I'm going to pass out. And I'm like, don't you pass out. I'm going to die here
Oh my
today.
God.
It
So you
just
didn't
ended up
feel it
being
though, right?
No, it felt like somebody threw a handful of dirt on my leg. It went in my leg and out my leg.
So that was fine.
But,
It didn't hit anything?
No. I mean,
See,
I should say
that's why-
spurt. It was pouring blood. It wasn't necessarily spurt, but it was bleeding like a mofo. And it hurt once I knew it was there. Then it hurt like hell. And I went to the doc, and they x-rayed and just stitched it up and sent me on my way. But God damn, I was terrified. I thought I was going to die.
Because you think I'm
being
die,
shot in the
yeah.
leg.
Yeah. How old were you?
10.
Are you serious? Oh my God. If my 10-year-old got shot, I would be so freaked out.
Oh, my grandfather wanted to kill his name was Jim. He wanted to kill him, and it wasn't his fault. He wasn't aiming at me. It was just a freak accident. He shot, and something that he shot at or towards, there was something that was hard enough to reflect the bullet back.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It was just a freak accident. Like you said, you never know. It's just one of
You
them
just-
freak accidents.
Yeah, you could have been dead. Could have shot you accidentally, could have hit you in the face. Yeah,
From that point forward, me and him never went out and shot guns together ever again, because I was like, nope, good.
I'm good. I'm good on that. I've never, I think I tried one time to shoot guns after that, and I was like, nah. In theory, it seems like fun. But for me, it just puts me back in that place. It's a shotgun. His head would have been gone. It would have been just piles of mist.
I'm wondering if he had a slug in it instead of birdshot, because if it had been birdshot, he'd have got hit with some of that.
See, I think it was birdshot, but I think it didn't have time to spread because we were only 4 feet.
Oh,
apart.
yeah.
So it really, because there were BBs all over the floor. So I think it was birdshot, but it actually went through a wall, through another wall, hit the refrigerator's plate, dented that motherfucker.
Thank God he wasn't closer. Or
I
not
mean,
closer,
really,
but further away.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, like nobody called the police. The neighbors were outside. They heard the shotgun go off. Unmistakable.
Like, it's almost like they were used to it or something. Like, oh,
exactly. I was like, that's a little questionable. They're like, well, yeah. But so many things like that. I think about that kind of stuff, and like friends that like make a bad mistake, you know, and we judge them for it. But I mean, I could have ended up in jail for manslaughter, killing somebody, right? And I could have been.
No.
If they'd investigated it, it would have been a freak accident. You wouldn't have got anything out of it.
I was an adult and he was a child. So maybe
it was
no
an accident.
Child murderer.
It was still
close in age, still too.
It was still a freak accident. They would have known that.
Yeah. I had to put a tattoo. I would have had to put a teardrop right here.
Deidra would have got that street cred, son. Walking out there pouring 40s in the street.
Immediately.
I can see it. I'm sorry.
Very 90s of us. Very 90s combo.
While playing End of the Road by Boys to Men in the background.
Oh my God. It's so funny. I play that for my kids sometimes just to be funny. Like songs like that. I played Boys to Men. They were like, I was like, it was a thing.
I remember for my 15th birthday, my aunt and uncle, I don't know if it was a gag gift, but they gave me Color Me Bad.
Oh my God.
The Color Me Bad CD.
What was your first CD?
My first CD was Van Halen 1984.
Nice.
And it came in those big long boxes. So the CD's this big, and then it comes in this big cardboard box. It's like this freaking long. And I've looked on eBay, and those things sell for like thousands of dollars. Those old long box CDs from the 80s and 90s. But yeah, the Van Halen 84, and then I think after that I didn't have money as a kid, so having a CD was a kind of a privilege at that time. Yeah, I know that sounds
Yeah.
weird to younger listeners, but CDs were expensive back in the day. So I had
I mean,
that
they were
one.
like $15 back then, right? They were like, weren't they like $15?
Some
$12?
20. I remember I bought a Ozzy Osbourne live album in 92, 93, and I paid like $40 for that. And it was a 2 CD set.
Whoa. That's like double vinyl now.
Yep. Ain't
Yeah,
that
there was
funny
a
how
CD set
vinyl's
for the
making a
Beatles,
comeback?
like an anniversary set, and that was like $35 or something when I had bought that when I was younger.
It's like funny how vinyl's making a comeback to me.
I love it. I collect it.
Yeah, I noticed in the background there you got a vinyl collection back there.
Up here, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's fairly new because also a funny story is that when I was in high school, I dated a guy who was an addict, and he had stole my record collection. And I came home one day and it was gone. Like he sold it for like drugs. And I never bought records again. It's like starting over is like disheartening. You're like, collecting all that over again. I'm good, And I just didn't. And just about no. So
doesn't
I
have
think it
that
was
same
like
sentimental value anymore.
No, you remember like, oh, I got this in Philadelphia in this date or whatever, stuff that like, oh, I was at the show. I got this here. So a couple years ago, started collecting again, maybe like 3 years ago, slowly. And then like this guy hit me up that I went to school with back then. And he was like, I saw that he was selling a bunch of records. And I was like interested because I saw a couple of them that I had then. So I was like, ooh, he probably totally has stuff I would want, And then I hit him up and he was like, yeah, I'm selling the whole lot. He's like, if you want to buy them. And I was like, what are the chances these are my records from back then? That dude, because there was a mutual friend, and he was like, yeah, pretty high. So like I literally bought my own records back that were stolen from like years and years and years ago. I'm talking like 15 years later, bought my own, not all of them, but most of them, like my old record collection back. I was like, that's insane. I can't believe that happened.
Still in good shape, no damage.
Yeah. Just sat in a box. I was like, man, never trust a junkie.
Yeah, I mean, that's a stroke of luck that you got them back. It sucks that you had to pay for them again.
How crazy. Well, yeah, but I thought it's not his fault. He was just doing a deal or something back then, right? Like he was getting something for something. It wasn't his fault. I can't blame him, but yeah, I did pay for him to get back.
This CD right here.
But crazy stuff like that happens.
I found this in Walmart the other day.
Kiss?
This is the 45th anniversary of Destroyer. And you would think this would be like maybe 30, 35, $40 because of it being an anniversary edition, 2 CDs. $7 at Walmart.
That's so funny. Yeah, we just saw Kiss, and it was like $7 a ticket. Lawn tickets at no, really, like it took the whole family. Like $7 a ticket. We had lawn tickets for Amelie, I think, not Amelie Arena, I can't remember. It's the one that's outside, and took everybody. $7.
Yeah, my daughter went with my one best friend April.
Yeah,
she had taken her.
The same show, right?
Yeah, same show.
It was fun.
This thing's got like a full color booklet and everything, like you would have back in the day. I was like, for $7, holy shit! So I was like, zoink, and brought it home. But the vinyl 45th anniversary is on eBay. It was like $200.
Yeah, we have the Kiss one with the black and blue faces on the front. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Dynasty. Really good. No. Black and blue.
Oh, they don't have their makeup on?
No, they do. It's yellow. It's like some monster. Oh, I'm so bad with remembering album cover names. They're all in alphabetical order too.
It might be their debut album, their first one, where it's just their faces.
No, yeah, maybe it's an early one for sure. But because collecting vinyl, I got really into like old like Dio, and got into Rainbow, and got into like old Sabbath stuff, and started listening to like all this old 70s stuff.
Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Oh
Love
man,
that
Rainbow
band.
is amazing. Amazing.
To me,
I love it.
Ronnie James Dio was the greatest frontman probably in the history of metal music.
I was a naysayer because I was like an Ozzy fan, right? So I grew up listening to Black Sabbath, and I just liked Ozzy version of it, and I also listened to Ozzy growing up because he was just around, you know. And I wasn't really introduced to Dio, and so everyone was like Dio, and I'm like whatever. And I was such a like a pusher away of it. I didn't even give it a chance. And then later on, I was listening to something that was Rainbow, actually, that started the whole thing. And I was like, this song fucking rules. It was like a Stargazer. And I was like, I was just listening to it all the time, just listening to Stargazer, nothing else at that point. And then that, like, I fell in love with Dio, like, just in the last 5 years. It's embarrassing.
Did you, if I can make a suggestion, go and see if you can hunt down Heaven and Hell. Dio, Ronnie reunited with Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler, and then they brought what's his name, Vinny Appice, his drummer, and they kind of put that old Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath unit back together, but because of Ozzy owning the name and everything now, they had to call it Heaven and Hell. Such a good band, and their live album is awesome.
I'll check it out. I don't think I've heard it. I mean, I'm sure it's come up, but you know.
It was like one of the last things that Ronnie did right before he passed from the stomach cancer.
Yeah. Man, he's amazing.
Supposedly his widow is trying to do a biopic on him.
I hope so.
I would go watch it.
I watched some doc. It was like a behind the music Sabbath, like, it wasn't like behind the music, but it was like a documentary on Prime. They have a bunch of music sort of like things on there, and he was on there. It was really cool. They were doing, I think it was the last Sabbath album.
Yeah, the Ozzy fans and the Dio fans definitely went to war back in them days over that.
I mean, I like them both. I like them both for what they're, you know, in their place, you know, for sure. But if you love music, how could you just nix something and not give it an option, like a chance in your heart, you know? Then you're not a music lover.
I mean, you had one band with two different styles. You had Ozzy Black Sabbath, which was more blues and doom metal, and then you had the Ronnie James Dio, which was more progressive metal and speed metal. So it was two different genres.
It's sort of like the Alice in Chains, like the Lane Staley, and then the newer singer. Like, it's all amazing. It's amazing.
But that newer singer is creepy. How much like Lane Staley he sounds.
It's so amazing, but it isn't. It's like him, but it's like it does it justice without being a copy, right? He's not trying to be Lane Staley. He's being himself. It just fits, and I love those new albums. Absolutely.
Look at Mandy. She's like, you all are talking about music I hate.
No, nothing. No.
What do you want to know, Mandy?
I don't want to know anything anymore.
What do you want to know, Mandy?
Emmy's like knocking at the door and everything like that.
Have you ever done any album covers for like any horror punk bands?
No, I did license some work for what I think was a photo that I had done. It was like EDM, but it was like dark. It was like on the horror side, so it's sort of like dark EDM, like dark wave. I did do that. I'm trying to do more of those. I'm really pushing to do more album art, like creating art photography for albums, so people know that that's possible versus using lots of like, you know, traditional artists and painters. People can go with a photograph and it can still, you know, people get a whole like swaths of music get caught into doing like into the same genre of art, like death metal or something. Like they all use a similar artist, you know, and like straying from that is cool, you know, which they do sometimes. Not to say that nobody does, but be cool. Some people do sculptures, like photos of sculptures or something, and that's awesome too.
I remember.
Think about how like intertwined art and music is that way, you know?
I remember in the 90s, I bought this one CD from a band called Propane. And it was the album cover. I don't think you can get it anymore with this original album cover because I think it got pulled, but it was autopsy photos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just caught my eye. I know it sounds morbid as shit, but it caught my eye because it was like people's kind of splayed open and stuff. And then you go inside and it's like pictures of the band members and then different photos of different stages of the autopsy and shit. And it was like creepy as fuck, but at the same time, but at the same time, it was like, I dig it. I really like what they were going for here.
Yeah. I wonder how you get like approval to use those.
I don't know.
I would want to do that. I would want to be the person taking those photos, but I actually did take a photo one time of like a dead body, and it really upset me actually, because I knew this person who had given me access to, worked in a crematory, and he was like, I have a body in, would you like to come in and see it? And I was like, yes. I mean, immediately, yes. My brain goes, yeah, absolutely. And I came in there, and I guess it was like I don't know if it was a homeless man or what it was, because they weren't claimed. And I took a couple of photos with, I don't remember if it was my camera or my phone, but I remember feeling like it was wrong to do that because I didn't know that person and it was exploitive, and I was doing it for my own like personal interests without any like respect to the person in that way. At least I felt that way. I was like, I don't know if I'm like, this seems cool and all, but it just didn't feel right for me. So I left. I was like, see ya.
Felt like you were desecrating the body in a sense, I guess.
I did a little bit, you know, like I was like, this was a person and I'm here like interested in their body, and like it wasn't for any real purpose. And so it just felt a little exploitive, and I chose to say sorry and leave. So, but it was interesting. I'd never seen, I mean, it was very, I guess because bodies are frozen, and then when they come out to be cremated, like thawing. So it was like really wet and like beating, and like a piece of like, you know, meat, I guess, coming out of the freezer.
I guess it could be a little disturbing there. Like,
I was like, why is it so wet? But I mean, that's what happens to our bodies, you know, when that happens. But other than that, I don't think I've ever seen a dead body like in person like that. Other than like family, you go to a funeral, you know.
Trying to find that album cover and seeing if anybody's put it on Google. Where
I feel like I've seen it.
Show you, but I think it's completely been stricken from the internet.
Some things have been. You can't get them anywhere.
Damn it.
Dead Kennedys, huh, Mandy?
Yes, the Dead Kennedys.
What else?
Blitz Kid, Tiger Army.
Oh, somebody's stalking my friggin' feeds.
No, that's bands I like too, but I have a broader taste in music. I mean, my dad's a bluegrass guitarist, and I love listening to bluegrass music. You have not lived until you watched
how he like subtly insulted me for not liking like death metal and everything. Like, I just have okay. It's like the next thing it's like he's like, oh, I have a broader taste in music. Next thing I'm going to see is John sitting here in the next episode sipping his wine and eating his freaking cheese.
Oh,
yep.
Proper.
Welcome to Heavy Metal Theater. I am your host. Today we will look at the evolution of horror punk.
Some people just aren't interested in music though, and that's okay. Like they just don't. They don't really.
I grew up.
I like music. I just don't want to listen to death metal. It's like,
I don't.
I have a hard time understanding people to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I grew up, like I said, my
wait, you're making fun of a deaf lady? I know you are.
My dad played bluegrass, and I love metal music. But like I said, I always loved sitting there and watching him and his buddies play, because bluegrass music, they are hauling ass on them instruments. There's
Guitar.
no way I could play that shit. But then my mom brought me up on old rock and roll and different things, and even old school hip hop and all that. So I've had my experiences growing up with a family that had musicians in it. I can't play a lick of nothing on anything. It just skipped me. Well, like we said earlier with the whole drawing thing, I don't have the patience to actually sit down and try to learn an instrument. I probably could. I have a bass guitar and I can play like maybe 2 songs on it. That's it. I just don't have the patience.
Yeah, it takes time. It's not something, I mean, it takes years, before you can do anything.
I took opera lessons, so.
You used to dance.
Dance.
For many years.
Acting, everything, blah, blah, blah.
I actually have a band with Jeremy and Taylor where I sing. It's out there, flying around.
What's the name of your band, Deidra?
Nil, Nil. It's like kind of doomy, It's out there. It's actually on Spotify. So Jeremy and Taylor put out this album at the beginning of the pandemic that was a song a day. And so they would write, produce, and collaborate a song, mix it, and release it all in 24 hours. So they did a full album of songs of all the different genres of metal. Like they did like a Swedish death metal. They did one that was like all the different genres. And one of them was one that I did with them, which was this song called Terror in the Shape of Suns. And it's on that album. It's one a day through Smoke and Mirrors. You can find it on Spotify. It's pretty cool.
She like totally just plugged that. So definitely look for that. Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm gonna go there, I might as well go there.
She's like, yeah. She's like, it's on Spotify.
Yeah, you can actually I think the Smoke and Mirrors page that is Jeremy and Taylor's has a lot of the work on there for them, like all their albums. If you're interested in checking it out.
Does it have old people?
Actually, I'm supposed to exhibit. I think it's called the Vagina Show. I'm not 100%. I think it's called the Vagina. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. What am I calling it?
Job's turning a little red. It's like whenever like a woman mentions something like that, you always turn red.
It's called Vagina Forward.
I am pale and I show color easily.
It's called Vagina Forward, and it's going to be at I think at the Shuffle in Florida, in Tampa. I'm going to show some art there in March.
The Vagina Show, is it going to be vagina drawings, or is it just all women?
I think it's Vagina Forward. So I'm not sure who's in the exhibit, but it has the context of vagina forward. So I'll probably paint something for that show, and then I'll exhibit that in Tampa.
Hello, Matt.
What's up, Matt? Matt's he's from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Nice. I've never been to Canada. I want to go to Canada.
Yeah, Matt always. I think he's always on our live streams, ain't he, Mandy? Like everyone that we do, he'll show up.
Yeah. He's been really good to us.
Aw.
We got to send him one of my little Black Valentine heart shirts I'm gonna make.
I need to see this thing. We need to do this.
What's your Valentine's gonna say? Can you give an example?
No, I can't.
No.
You'll have to wait like everybody else. It's a surprise. I just touched a s'more and now I have chocolate all over my hands.
How'd you get chocolate on your hands?
The thing that Emmy made me. This thing.
Oh, the s'more. Nice.
The s'more.
Yeah, preoccupied and.
I bribed my son, so he wants to make a cheesecake. So I was like, if you do all these things this week, or you don't do all these other things, I was like, you can make a cheesecake this weekend. So he's very interested in cooking. So I'm trying to encourage him.
Hey, you might have the next Bobby Flay or somebody there in your house.
Well, he wants to take the culinary programs through high school, so he's really interested in cooking. So I'm like, cook me a cheesecake. I like cheesecake.
Yeah.
He cooks for his siblings and stuff. It's really cool.
It's a form of art.
Yeah, no, it really is. You know, I think everything's a form of art. Even like gardening, I always say like gardening, you know, sometimes everything has an art form. I think as humans, we're by nature, it's our nature to be creative. You know, we create life, we create our reality, we create everything. Everything as we're going along, we're making. So it's like when people say like, I'm not creative, it's like liar.
Yeah, if we spent more time doing that than just destroying everything, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I've been very sad about what's going on. Just seeing it all, whatever the perspective is, it's just sad. The whole thing, the whole gambit on every side of it is just like what's going on.
The greed of men with power and the things they'll do to keep it or to gain more.
Yeah, it does come to that. And I think it gets so caught up in like the noise of people saying what is and isn't happening and the perspective of like what's true and what's true. People get so caught up in that even that narrative is desensitizing people from even connecting to anything happening. Like any fragment of reality is now called into question, right? And so it doesn't matter what is happening. Like the conversation is so convoluted that nobody knows what to believe. So nobody does anything. Everybody is just apathetic because they don't know what to do and they're afraid of being on the wrong side.
Like I tell people, and it's probably true for all of us that have served. It's Michael. But all of us that served, I have a different view on things. Like when they come on the news and they say, well, we're over there bombing the shit out of this country to defend freedom and the values of America. It's like, no, you're not. You're going over there to bomb somebody's shit because there's something there you want to take.
Mm-hmm. There's no gain. It costs a lot of money to roll anything like that. I was watching like all the tanks rolling. I was like, that's money. That's costing money. A lot of money. And you're not going to spend that money unless there's a reason for it that you want to gain from it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just, I guess from my just having that point of view of it and seeing it and being in 2 tours in the Middle East and all that, I got that the blinders pulled off and like, oh, well, everything they tell you on the news is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's never what it really is. Like,
no,
I remember.
I want to know. I want to know what it really is.
Well,
sorry, my kids are like hounding me right now. They're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. So they start calling my phone, even though they're like right out there. It's like, mommy, mommy.
Well, I remember one time we got bombed or mortared on post. And then next thing you know, they're coming over and saying, well, CNN News was here, so you make sure you tell them this, this, and this. So it was like
contain the narrative.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's how this bullshit works. Okay.
Well, why do they contain the narrative? Is it because they don't want people to act or they don't want people to panic? Or is it like, what do you, I try to understand like what the benefit of keeping people.
They think that the American public, certain things they shouldn't hear, like we're trying to protect them from the bad things in the world, that people can't handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know, which is, to me, it's insulting to the intelligence of our citizens. You know, they should know. They should be aware of what the hell we're doing.
Imagine if everything was above board.
Yep.
Think about it. In a psychological aspect, right? Like, let's just break it down to human and human. Having everything be so secret is why abusers and narcissists and sociopaths can continue their behavior, because secrecy, their behavior is hidden. And anytime you take like an abusive relationship, let's just say an abusive relationship, any abusive relationship, and everything is above board, everybody's held accountable on both sides. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know that pure secrecy is the best way to go. Like, I think maybe.
I tell everybody all the time, I said for the past 3 or 4 years, like we have conversations at work, just talking on break and stuff. And I said, everybody is so fragmented on, well, I'm left, I'm right, I'm left, I'm right. You're going to hell, or you're going to hell. I said, if you all would just all realize left and right are both full of shit equally.
Yeah.
And they are both playing to you that they don't like one another, but when they go behind them closed doors and the camera's off, they're back there just chilling and talking about dinner plans with families and all this shit. I said it's just a huge bullshit fest. Yeah, front. And they all are. I mean, anybody with power is corrupt to an extent. Some more than others.
I think the nature of power is corrupting. You could go in with the best intentions. The nature of being in power is corrupting because of the kind of creatures we are. We're tribal creatures. Community is what allowed us to evolve. Our social construct is what allowed us to evolve. And in that social construct, there needed to be a leader, and it's just human nature.
Hence why religion was ever created. I don't know how people feel. I mean, if you believe, you believe. I have no problem with that. But I'm of the mindset of like George Carlin, the way he said it. It was always just created as a way to control people. You give them a list of rules and tell them that if they break any of these rules, this magic sky deity up in the sky, you're going to go before him. He's going to tell you did bad, and then he's going to throw you into a lake of fire, and you're going to burn and rot forever, but he loves you.
George Carlin was brilliant, by the way. Like, if you read his books or anything, like just his
logic.
I
have all of his books.
Yeah.
He's like, but not only does he love you, but he needs your money. Because for some reason, money. God's bad with money.
Yeah. I think any organized religion causes more harm than good most of the time. Any kind of
I think it should be taxed.
Again, a contract. Well,
I really think it should be taxed. My
people
opinion,
hide behind the veil of something like that. Like there's too many loopholes that people take advantage of, in the sense of hiding. Like what the churches have done. I'm not against people being spiritual or whatnot. I think the nature, for me personally, I view certain religions, because the nature of the book is sexist. The nature of the words is sexist. They have sexist comments in there that are very anti-woman. And that does not speak to me. And I'm not going to parse out the book and say, well, believe this and not this part. So when you talk to people on a respect level, like, this is just how I feel. They say, well, I understand that, but you can't read that part of the book. You have to look at this part of the book. And I'm like, you can't pick and choose what part of it is real when you feel like it, because that in itself is a contradiction, and you can't do that. It's either, then what? It got to evolve into something else. Well, if it's evolving into something else, then let's call it something else.
Well, I mean, from the point that you open it up, Genesis, at that point, it clearly says that Eve was the downfall of mankind because she was tempted by the snake, and therefore she was the one that partook of the fruit, and she was the one that tempted Adam to do the same. So it's automatically labeling that a woman is the fault for everything that's wrong with the world.
We're born evil. It's very anti-woman.
I was very evil. I'm very evil now.
You're like, well, I am evil, so.
Yeah.
But it's not describing it as it was equally both their faults.
Right.
In the story. It's because
he
even
was
the
led.
way even he the way deceived. Even the way God approaches Eve, he goes, woman, what have you done? Instead of what have you both done? It was, woman, what have you done? It's clear as day in the Bible verses. I have read the Bible a little bit. I'm not no theologian Bible scholar.
Eve is really a demon, though.
But she's created from man.
Yeah, but no, it's like, what if they just had it all wrong and she's just really a demon?
Yeah, but then you have to believe that demons exist.
Well, supposedly Adam had two wives.
The Bible is just a story. So
supposedly Adam had two wives. His first wife was named Lilith.
Yeah.
And then Lilith went on to be cast into the same lot as Lucifer. So therefore,
wasn't the name of the first vampire was Lilith? Or was that just yeah?
Well, she's also like the main succubus when you look at that,
Yeah.
from that standpoint. She's the mother of all demons.
Lilith.
And then after that, God created Eve, and then Eve failed Adam, and then for some reason they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. So I get what you're saying, Deidre. Exactly what you're saying. I mean, there's so much. Samson and Delilah. She cut off his hair and robbed him of his gift, and that was his downfall. So there's so
Yeah, but if
many
you look in the
stories.
book, there's so many things in there that are so anti-woman that I was like, why would anybody choose to support something that is in its very nature written by men and is very sexist? Whether it was the temperature of the time, I'm sure.
There are Bible scholars out there that say that we can't even take that book at face value anymore because it has been interpreted in so many different ways over centuries that its original message has been lost to history. Because when King James took it, he excluded many books from it. The Book of Enoch, he did not leave that in. And the Book of Enoch, I mean, if you want to talk about a heavy metal music video, that book is freaking all of that and then some. I mean, it basically paints the angels as assholes because they came down and they procreated with women. And in a sense, I can't use that word because of YouTube because they'll take the video down, but the R word. They took what they wanted and it wasn't right. But that book was somehow removed. Now it's been brought back. I don't know how somebody got the original book, but that I don't know, but it's just, how can you trust anything that's in it? Because what you're being told is the viewpoints of a man or woman or just another human being, a flawed person. They're interpreting to you what they think it says, not what it might have actually meant.
And how do you do that? I mean, you read poetry and you're interpreting it. It's like art, you have to look at it like, okay, it's a piece of art. Cool. It's a story. It's a book. Respect. All right. Just so much bloodshed has been spread in its name.
Like when I've read books Anton LaVey did, and people are, oh my God, Satanist. Oh, John, you really were a Satanist. No, I like to learn. I like to, know everything. And when you looked at what Anton LaVey was trying to say was, we are the masters of our own destinies and we shouldn't rely on this faith that we say a prayer and everything will be handed to us. And yeah, some people might have taken what he was doing and did bad things with it, but nobody can ever prove that Anton LaVey ever committed any kind of virgin sacrifices or anything like that. Because there was no reason. He couldn't have done it because he was so much of a celebrity. I mean, hell, he was on like talk shows and shit back in the day.
Not Anton LaVey. What was the other guy that did like sex something? Who was that?
Aleister Crowley. Who was
one I saw a documentary.
I think I lost her for a second.
Yeah.
You were saying you saw a documentary about Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, I think he was a strange bird.
He was, and I don't know how much of everything to come out of his mouth could have been taken at face value. Because
it was bizarre. Like he had a wife, and then he had another wife, and then he would go to this secret society, and like it was weird. The whole thing was like, oh, I wonder what really happened. I mean, something happened for sure. The last house they were in, I remember seeing the whole thing, and it was just very odd. It was very strange. I don't think he wasn't connected to Anton LaVey.
No, I think yeah, he was doing his shit in like the 40s. Anton LaVey didn't really come along until I think the mid to late 60s, and he died fairly young. I think his daughter still runs everything. His daughter or his son, one of the two, still kind of run everything. But now you've got the satanic temple or whatever it's called now, and they're at odds with the Church of Satan, and it's like, you both have the same ideologies. Why the fuck are you two beefing with one another?
Christianity, Catholicism, they're all going to fight each other.
Well,
Protestants.
the Church of Satan is like, yeah, but you all got like online stores and shit, and you're selling hot sauce and T-shirts, and
that's
say "Hail Satan" on it. And I'm like,
I'm
yeah,
not a religion where I sell hot sauce and T-shirts.
Well, there you go. They proved that you can do it.
You could just make it. You start it, Mandy.
We'll call it Mandyism.
Mandyism? I don't like that word.
That was just on the fly. That was the idea starter.
That's how things happen. This is how it happens. Yeah. Well,
when you say Mandyism, it just sounds like you're telling somebody they have a stupid idea.
Oh, well.
I like talking about religion with people, and I normally try to stray away from it because some people get very, offended by it, and I'm glad that you don't.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'll back anything I say.
Most of us that like heavy metal music or punk rock, we're very open to talk about shit like that because we don't get offended by it because half of us don't believe in the shit.
No, and I'm not going to get in an argument about stuff. And I also acknowledge that I don't know everything about everything. I don't. I just am basing my opinion on what I do know and the rational ideas surrounding it and what I actually view. Nobody can tell me that my personal view of the Bible and the books thereof aren't sexist. That's how I perceive it and how it's been, presented to me. So you're going to tell me otherwise? It's just a perception, and perception is reality. And if we're creating our own realities, I'm not going to agree to something just because it's popular.
I don't know. I have a hard time of, I don't know. I want to believe that when we die, something happens. But
why? Why is it not okay to just blip out like everything else on the planet?
That's true.
Like we eat, you eat a hamburger, that cow, you think like you're talking about when you got shot earlier. And I was like thinking actually in that moment, I was like, when we die, it probably is that quick. There probably is no pain. It's just shock and the system shuts down and we die. We probably don't have some really deep experience with it, where it's agonizing, where it's like, you're so scared of dying. That's just the emotional attachment to our daily life. In reality, you probably just die.
Well, scientists say that it's like going to sleep. And you go and they say that most people, when they perceive like seeing the light and heaven and all that, it's normally you're going into a dream state because your brain is the last thing to stop functioning.
Right. It kind of spurts neurons because I get really obsessed about history, and I've been really obsessed with medieval times and Victorian era times and how they would kill you and stuff like that. So they're talking about when they would behead you, how your head was alive for some time after that.
Yeah, you were looking around.
Mm-hmm. Your brain is still firing thoughts. That's awful, actually.
But I'm also a big believer in paranormal because I've had experiences in my life, and most people can say that's bullshit, and I get it, and it's understandable. But I've had certain experiences, and I do believe that we are as beings, just like every other living thing on this planet, we are made of energy. So what's to say that our energy doesn't just return back to everything? But what if sometimes our energy still keeps our consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
That's not out of the realms of impossibilities. I mean, it's just, but I'm like you, maybe it's just turning out the lights, and that's not painful. That's just what it is,
It's just fact. Now, I don't know about paranormal. I'm on the fence about that as well. Because I'm like, well, I don't know everything, and I have experienced some weird things, but how do you reconcile that with logic and what we know? We just go, oh, I don't know everything, and that's fine. That's okay. Weird shit's going to happen sometimes, because there is huge levels of connectivity that I experience and huge levels of paranormal, strange things, that do occur, and you can't put your name on it. They've proven scientifically that we have psychic abilities because, and this is such a simple thing. If somebody is staring at you, you can feel their thoughts. They said 7 out of 10 times or 8 out of 10 times if someone is looking at you, you will look directly in their direction. And that you're being looked at. You sense it because you feel their thoughts. And they said that is proof of psychic ability, of another sense outside of our physical body. And that's real. You know,
And they said that
is
if we use only a certain percentage of our brain, if we actually had at least 60% of our full brain capacity, like we wouldn't even need to speak. We would be able to communicate telepathically. It's just shit like that I've read. They said that we would be at such a higher,
Mhm.
plane. We wouldn't even need the ability to speak or anything. We would be able to project our thoughts back and forth to one another.
Well, like Jeremy and I are so connected. He always says like there will come a point in our connection where we won't have to even communicate with each other. And we are kind of at that point where like we're so connected that we already know. There's very little like that is to mystery, you know, when it comes to that. Like you sense their place.
And
You
I get
hear
that
their thoughts.
with my sons, my two boys. I mean, they're both in their 20s now, but it's like sometimes I can sense. It's almost like Jedi shit, Star Wars. Like I sense a disturbance in the Force, and then I'll call them up and be like, "Everything cool?" Well, like the other day, Gavin got in an accident. He was in the rain and he was riding his bike. He has a scooter that he rides to work because he only lives a little ways from work, and he lost control of it and went down. And if he hadn't had his helmet on, his face would have got fucked up.
Yeah.
But it was just something that
You
day
knew.
I kept sensing, okay, something ain't right. I just kept getting this weird vibe. And then when I text him, he goes, yeah, got in an accident today, and then showed me pictures of the helmet. And it just weirded me out. I was like, man, because I had that all day. I need to call Gavin. I need to call Gavin. I need to call Gavin.
Yeah. See? I mean, those things really, if you're open, they flow like a circuit of energy, you know, between people, between anybody really. But we're so closed off because we live in such a way where like it's us and them. It really isn't. We're all very connected. I think it is kind of like a hive mind sometimes that it flows if you see it that way and you function that way. And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about everything is just going to happen. And the thing that stops it is those blocks, like that energy block where we don't allow that to flow. We get so controlling over it of what's happening instead of being more like water in the process of existing. And the mindset behind that is so frustrating because how do you get there? And you only get there by like time, and you only get there by allowing it. And nobody can push a button and it happens much as you want to. Buddhism sometimes has like really great theories about this stuff.
Yeah, in Buddhism, I mean, we have some Buddhist temples over here, and they're very big into the reincarnation thing. Mm-hmm. I tend to believe that being immortal means that my kids therefore carry on, and then they have kids and have kids. That to me is my immortality, is that I'm carrying on with my name and who I am through my children and my grandchildren, great grandchildren, so on and so forth. So that is true immortality, because you're passing on your genes. Now, I tell people all the time, I say, we're so caught up in all this extracurricular shit, and I get it, like the environment, we need all that. But I said, when you look at the history of our planet, when it gets tired of having us around, just like a dog, it's going to shake, it's going to scratch, it's going to be rid of us. Go ask dinosaurs. Go ask any other animals that existed at some point in time. When this world got tired of it, it fired off a super volcano or a rock hit it. Poof, gone. And we as a species, we're going to do the same thing at some point. Something's going to come along, and it's going to take mankind out, and then something's going to come along to replace it.
I say to my kids, I'm like, I'm really sorry. Whatever the world becomes in your lifetime after me, I'm sorry. Because they didn't ask to be here. None of us asked to be here, obviously. We're just, there's this funny joke there. It's like somebody did something in the 90s, and now I got to pay bills and talk to people. You ever seen that? It's so funny. And I'm like, yes, I connect to that. I was like, sorry, I don't know what the world's going to be when you're growing up. I don't know what it's going to be. It's not going to be like it is now. And I'm sorry for that.
My dad says I was a oops. So I'm like, thanks. You really made me feel like my life matters. Thanks, Bob.
Like, well, you were an oops, but we'll keep you around.
Yeah.
After the fact. We like you now. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's usually how it is for most people, though, that their children were all, an oops.
Yeah, my two biological children were planned, even down to the point where I was like, I want a baby born in October, and I had a baby born in October.
Oh, I didn't put that much thought into it.
Were you doing the Jeremy? I had a soldier. His name was Ian Seymour. His wife, we literally had to let him leave work because they were trying for so long. And thank God they have two beautiful children. And because she was having trouble with getting pregnant. And so he had this letter that whenever she was ovulating, we had to let him off work so he could go home to try to have a kid.
That whole process is crazy when you're trying to have a kid. It really is. When you're trying to have a kid, it becomes like a strange thing. Yeah. No. Yeah. No, so both of mine were planned.
So you didn't do the, hey, Jeremy, I'm ovulating this time. You never did that?
Jeremy and I don't have any kids together because this is a second marriage for me.
Okay.
Like we have a blended family. So I came with two kids and he has a children's, and so we have a blended family.
So you have a heavy metal Brady Bunch.
We do, actually. We very much do. But it's cool. It's all different.
Matt says his very child was playing lines that would be a lot shorter at Disney World.
It's really funny.
Touche, sir. Touche.
It just happened that way. I was like, I didn't have the oopsie child, so.
I think my dad came back from his tour in Okinawa, and him and my mom were so glad to see one another, and then 9 months later, their little bouncing baby boy just come into the world.
How was you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm an only child.
How do you feel about that?
It didn't bother me. I mean, my mom and dad split up, and they both remarried, and out of that, my dad remarried, and I ended up gaining 3 stepbrothers, so, and we don't necessarily see each other as stepbrothers. We kind of just view each other as biological.
Yeah, that's like my stepdaughter that lives with us, and her sister, like they might as well be blood sisters. They're so close. Yeah.
And probably fight like biological too, I'm pretty sure.
They did in the beginning. Like they fought because they were like
territorial.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's normal. So it takes a lot of work to blend a family into making sure everybody's on the same page and everybody feels good and loved, and it takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight.
And so my now, 2 boys are the same way.
Yeah. And it doesn't nothing is easy in raising kids, so, but they fight way less now. They're way more like friends, so they do get at each other, but not that bad.
Yeah, Gavin and Ashton are entirely 2 different people. Ashton is more outgoing and wants to be to the life of the party, and Gavin is more the introvert that doesn't want to be bothered by anybody. He's emo, I guess you would say.
I have such a hard time with that because emo now is such a different term than it was when we were in school. Emo now is like an aesthetic.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, you're emo? That's super cool. It's like, well, shit, when I was in school, that was kind of like,
like a bad word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a happy-go-lucky kid. He just, he's like me in a lot of ways, and me and him are like super tight. And it's funny because he's my stepson, and me and him have so much in common because I'm introverted too, and I was that weird kid, and I think that's why he connects with me so much more than my own son, because Gavin sees a lot of himself in his dad, what he went through, and I'm also the one that can talk to him about that. Like the other day I told him, I said, man, you got to learn how to communicate with people without coming across as an asshole, because at his job, some people, because he can come off his course, because Gavin is, it's a blessing and a curse. He is very blunt, and he does not sugarcoat things. And I told him, I said, sometimes you have to sprinkle some sugar on things you say.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your bluntness, though is good to be honest with people, maybe you need to tone it back a little bit, because he was telling me that he got called upstairs because one of the people downstairs said that he come off as very much a dickhead and this, that, and the other. And
Which is not worth it, right? So if he sees
Yeah.
that the result of that is something he doesn't want, you know, then
And I told him,
adjusting it.
I said, your argument there was very logical in what you were trying to convey to that person. I said, but you need to learn how to do it more gently than just coming right out and just,
Yeah.
because people nowadays, a lot of people can't handle that.
Yeah. It's so, you ever see The Big Lebowski?
I love that
You know
movie.
when he goes, "You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole."
And I tell, and Gavin is my Walter in a sense.
Mhm. They always say that to me. They're like, "You're not wrong. You're just an asshole."
I could see Gavin running into some kid's house and being like, "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass."
Larry.
Is this your homework, Larry? Did you write this, Larry?
You're killing your father, Larry.
Yeah, he's over there in this iron lung.
That whole movie is brilliant. Brilliant. Could watch it.
This is what happens. Watch this, Larry, because this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Oh my god, it's the best.
The fan theories that film is so great because there's a theory that Donnie is actually Walter's army buddy that got killed in Vietnam, and he keeps seeing him. And when I went back and I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And they said because dude never, like, literally
talks to him.
And I'm like watching it and I'm like, holy fuck, they are right.
Like, I need to watch it again now.
They're like, dude is just accepting the fact that Walter is seeing Donnie. So he just,
shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Yeah, he just plays around with it like, okay, I'm supporting my friend. He's hallucinating that this guy is here. I'm just going to play along. And I went back and I watched that and I was like, holy fuck, he does. He never.
Yeah, but what about the ashes?
That was basically Walter finally letting go.
Damn. That was maybe his real ashes? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Like he actually had them the whole time?
Maybe Donnie was just this guy that didn't have no family or anything, and Walter kept his ashes.
This is our most modest receptacle.
Yeah. A Folgers can.
I'd like, just fucking put me in a Folgers can. Do not spend thousands of dollars on a bucket for me, please.
I told my kids, just wrap me up in a blanket, and just bury me in the backyard. I mean, obviously, I'm dead. I don't give a fuck.
Don't go into debt over me.
Yeah, I don't need no fancy shoebox or anything like that. Plus, too, if you end up burying me alive, I would much rather it be in a sheet because I can get out of that.
Nice.
If you put me in a coffin in a vault, that's going to be kind of a chore, especially with limited oxygen.
I want a coffin in a vault.
You want a vault?
Yeah, but what if you wake up? Well, no, you wouldn't wake up in it.
No, I'd rather have a Coliseum or something.
Well, my family's Jewish, so like most of my dad's side of the family are all buried in those vaults, like in those above ground. What do they call them?
Oh God,
mausoleums.
Mm-hmm. It's very So they're all in a vault, in their own little. It's like a cubicle.
I want one.
They do a thing where like they unveil your headstone a year after you die. So it's an interesting ritual.
Now, speaking of the Bible earlier, I mean, I don't know much about Judaism or anything, but I do know most Jewish people say that the Bible's full of shit.
Like you just called her out. Like that's why you're saying that.
No, I'm not. I'm not attached to any religion. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I totally, Yeah.
Look at her. She's like, oh yeah.
No, I'm not mad or anything. I just think it's funny because they've said that for years. They're like, oh, the Bible's full of shit.
Well, because they don't believe in the main premise.
You feel tricked. That's what it was. It's like I didn't realize this about.
No, I'm not Jewish. No, I'm not. My dad's Jewish. I'm Jewish by blood. I'm not religiously Jewish. But they're all different. They're all the same though. Like they all have this, it's similar and different at the same time. But man, you get into like some of those like Hasidic Jew communities. I watched some documentaries on the Hasidic Jew communities and like how they treat their women. And I was like, that's horrible.
Yeah, the
It's a horrible-
Hasidic Jews, for those of you that watch this video, it's like the Amish of
Yes.
Jewish people.
No, but it's like it's so insular, and it's so completely like they're in New York specifically. There was like a documentary about some of the women that had to escape and how trapped they were in that scenario, and how very little it just felt really horrible for the situation. Like, you can't even ask for help. You can't even go outside the community, you know, otherwise the whole community comes down on you, because they're like, you never call the police ever on anybody for any reason.
Tells you what to wear, what to think, where to go.
And I don't know all the ins and outs and details of their communities, and I do respect that other people have their beliefs and why they have it and their history, and I get that. But just from an outsider's perspective, watching those documentaries, you're like terrified. You're like, wow.
I think it's arranged marriages too, isn't it, within that community? God, that's got to suck.
Yeah, but you know, you think back to medieval times, Victorian era, marriages were made to further families, and to they were not made for love. Marriage was not an institution for love, which is interesting, because if you think about it, you go, I'm going to go on rants about British history, and how they they don't believe in divorce, but they were perfectly fine with adultery, right? Which is also frowned upon in their own religion. So they would excommunicate you for being a divorced person, but you were allowed to just cheat on your spouse and have children outside your marriage, because that was more healthy than a divorce. I was like, that's insane. That's insane. That's so hypocritical. So that's why it's really difficult for people that have a logical mind that thinks about this stuff, and is like, how can anybody follow this? You're just picking and choosing what parts of it are anyway, rant over. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm sure I am a little bit.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I don't do commentary on my art never has any religious overtones anyway.
I've gotten to the point where everybody's got such soft hearts now. It's like, I'm pretty sure I offended somebody, and I really got to the point where I don't give a shit.
I'm just sorry. But it's fine.
Sorry, you're a wuss.
Yeah. I'm I can totally see both sides of things, but I'm never gonna not speak my own truth, you know. I'm not being I'm not disrespectful of people. I'm genuinely concerned for the people that experience those things, you know. I'm what kind of an sad existence. I feel bad for people that get trapped in cults too. It's no different.
Yeah. I listened to the Jim Jones tapes the other day, where they did the whole thing where he was telling the people to drink the Kool-Aid and all that shit.
I watched the documentary on that. There's a theme here. I really like documentaries, and I watch a lot of documentaries.
I do too, and that's what got me listening to the tape, because they were somebody was like, "Oh, it's on YouTube, John." I was like, "Really?" And I went and I looked it up, and I was like, "Dude, this is so fucking sad," because you just hear people talking, and as it goes on, the voices in the background become less and less and less, until finally he's the only one talking.
Oh, that's horrible. I just got chills. And some people escaped. They ran away. Very few, but they did. Yeah. I saw something where they did interviews with survivors and what they spoke about, and I was like, man, that's horrible. But everybody went there willingly, right? With the best intentions.
Yes.
Yeah, because they thought that, I guess, the communist government of Russia was going to come in and help them and all this other stuff, because it was kind of a socialist society that they were trying to build down there in South America. But Jim Jones, he was something else.
I mean, he believed in it, and he made it happen. So, and that's what we're talking about, charismatic leaders, people that lead people into the fire. It's very common, because by nature, I think a lot of us want a leader. We want to follow somebody somewhere, because that's
David Koresh.
Yeah. Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
was just looking at something about Heaven's Gate the other day because I was working on something for a band that's called Heaven's Gate. So
they still got a website, and you could still buy the fucking video.
No, really?
I will show it to you. You could literally go in there and request a video to how to join it and shit. So when the second coming of the comic comes around, you too can eat some applesauce and wear some really fly Nikes.
I was looking up photos of them because I was like curious. I go through rabbit holes a lot, you know. So
I still remember that shit on the news, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was over 20 years ago.
It's the 90s, right?
Yeah. Like 98, whenever the Hale-Bopp comet flew over.
Hale-Bopp, oh my God. Yeah. Mandy, look up when Hale-Bopp was.
Hale-Bopp?
Sounds like the name of a really bad pop group. And now the Hale-Bopps.
Fuck, Hale-Bopp.
You're going to be our Jamie for a minute. Got to look up all our Google shit.
We need that person. That person is very valuable.
Yeah.
Fact check in real time.
Fact check.
Okay. 98, I want to say.
Hale-Bopp was July 23rd, 1995.
Oh, so it was that long ago when Heaven's Gate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hale-Bopp, doom 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 Hale-Bopp.
What was the name of that group?
What? Why? Deidra looked so content and so happy that she was just saying that.
I bet you had the Hansons on your wall, didn't you, Mandy?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
But I'm sure Deidra.
I didn't. I'm giving myself so many cool points right now that I just did that. It was good. See, that's gonna live on in your head forever now. Yeah, that's immortality.
I'm sure he had the posters and he had the albums because he appreciates music.
No, I had New Kids on Board.
Music.
No, I think that was after. I think the Hansons came out in like the early
late
2000s.
90s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then we got the Jonas Brothers.
I missed all of that. Like I skipped right over it.
In One Direction.
Yeah, skipped over that.
I remember. God.
What year did they come out?
Who? The Hansons?
The Hansons?
Like 20.
Just look when Bop came out.
Now I like Silverchair. They were a metal band.
Yeah, that was good.
They were brothers.
What was the name of that song? It was Water.
It says the Hanson Brothers for 1992.
Wow, that's disturbing.
I still remember them being kids in 2000. You sure they weren't born in 92?
I need to fact check your fact check.
The Hanson Brothers founded the band in 1992.
Well, shit. I bet that was super creepy. Then they were.
Are you guys really like upset and like
I'm mad at you?
Oh my God, I can't be wrong about the Hanson Brothers.
Not
me, the music lovers.
Yeah, but I didn't listen. I am not like a pop music. Like I'm not knowledgeable.
Oh well, what? You don't appreciate music like John?
No, I just don't. I don't follow it. Like I know.
I'm not gonna listen to it. The girls listen to a lot of pop music and everything. It'll be on the radio and stuff, but I'm deaf, so I tune everything out.
Yeah,
it's quite easy. That's one thing Deidra always got aggravated with me was what?
Well,
I remember my ex-wife's daughter one time when she came around, she goes, I'm listening to this new stuff called Screamo. And I'm like, what the fuck is Screamo? And then she started playing it for me. I was like, that's fucking metal. That's what? Yeah. Why do you kids give it such a just crappy sounding name, Screamo? I said, that sounds like something teeny bop bullshit.
I kind of like Screamo. I kind of like makes it very like.
I was like, it's death metal. It's not.
You kind of know what you're going to be listening to as soon as they say it. It's like, let's listen to some Screamo. That's what you're expecting, and then you turn it on. You're like,
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Screaming.
it wasn't like they created this genre. It had been around long before they even came along.
Well,
When you
I
say
think that
death metal, it's like I'm gonna be expecting to hear like people dying by like aluminum foil or something, you know, and
Well, it is kind of like that. They do talk about the ways people do die, especially if you
yeah,
listen
I
to
mean
some.
like aluminum foil, steel, you know.
yeah. I don't know. I listen to a lot of doom metal too, so I definitely have.
I love Candlemass. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
doom metal bands.
Well, one of the more modern ones that I absolutely love is Mono Lord, and I wanted to go see them, but they never come to Florida. So, but
Oh,
they're like a
guess
Swedish.
what?
They're a Swedish doom band. They're really great.
Deidra,
What?
Florida has hurricanes.
Trailer
Florida
Shakers.
has hurricanes? Is that what's going on in your heart?
Hurricanes. No, it's just ask John if
She
they
makes
hurricane.
fun of the way I say it.
Hurricanes. How do you say it?
Them Florida
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. It maybe just
hurricanes.
goes around and just throws hair on everybody. Hurricanes.
See, hurricanes.
Hurricanes. Where in North Carolina are you from?
I am from Morehead City, Beaufort area, around the Outer Banks.
South Carolina, Beaufort?
North Carolina. There's two Beauforts. So
That's what I was
North
wondering.
Carolina, it's Beaufort, and then in South Carolina, it's Beaufort.
Beaufort. My dad lived in Beaufort. That's why I was like, wait, I'm confused. Yeah, Beaufort.
Then you got Greenville, South Carolina, and Greenville, North Carolina. It's like, fuck, couldn't you all be more original and think up some different names for your town?
It's all the same pilgrims. I absolutely love Blue Ridge, though. It's true.
All the same bunch of assholes.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of white people naming all the roads in every town, for sure. Go to Florida, there's like, our town there's other towns that have like the exact same road names that we have. Like, it's the same town. Like, there's a place called Deltona, Florida, and like where I'm at, we have a Deltona Boulevard, and they have a Deltona Boulevard, and like it literally looks like the same town. It like blows your mind. You go to other place in Florida, and you're like, it's literally just a carbon copy of your town. They run out of ideas.
Like, there's back home, we have like, God, there's probably a bunch of Turner Streets and Taylor Streets and all that. So it's like you got to specify on your Google Maps. It's
Drive,
the one that's over
Avenue.
here.
Man, you know what's funny? I was telling Taylor last night how like I used to go to, like, I would just drive to your house, Mandy, and like I would go, if you wouldn't even be there, I would just sit with her mom and read her all my really bad poetry for hours. You wouldn't even be there. I would just go hang out with her mom and just like read her all my poetry.
All my friends used to do weird things like that. Like I remember Tim and like my friend Jason Hampton, he would sit there and freaking they would call on my dad and talk to my dad for hours.
Oh, nobody could talk to your dad for hours.
So they did. They would call him up and they would like literally be the only ones. And I remember Jason telling me, he goes, "Oh yeah, me and your dad made these plans." He goes, "I have to take him to the mall and he's gonna go streak the mall." I was like, "Please do not encourage my father."
No.
I was like, "Please do not encourage him because he will do it."
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jason was like all about it. He's like, "We're gonna do it." I'm like,
I already
just
like
going
your
there.
dad.
Oh man. Funniest story ever about your dad was like, I would be at your house all the time and he would always be like kind of like yelling about the war and the bombs and stuff. And then I remember Mandy one day, she came to me, she goes, "My dad's never been to war." She was like, he was having like war flashbacks, but he had never been
in a war.
Totally killed your
war.
father's dreams.
No, I think that was I don't know what that all was really was all about, but he like had actually he'd be yelling in his dreams and everything, doing it too.
Yeah.
He'd
And
be
you
in
were
his
just like-
he'd be sleeping and like all of a sudden he'd be yelling out things like he's fighting people, he was in war, and it's like you had to tell everybody.
Screaming incoming and diving on the ground.
She's like, the funniest thing is he's never been to war. I don't know why. And I was like, oh my God.
He's like, "I have been to war on these streets."
My dad used to do
Streets,
the craziest
the
things though. Like
streets of St. Pete.
whenever we'd have like new people over, it's like I'm surprised he never did it to Deidra. He would sit there and pretend to have a heart attack. He'd like drop on the floor, and then whoever we had brought over, they would always act like, "Why aren't you saving him?" Because
So
we
he
were
was,
sitting there like rolling our eyes again because he'd be sitting there having like his 20th heart attack in a week.
so he
Because
was Fred Sanford you all like.
yeah, but it's like
As if
we
I
all knew what he
could
was doing,
have
but then the people that we'd bring there would just look at us like we were monsters. Like, why aren't you saving your father?
And
You're
you're like,
pieces
well,
of shit. Your dad's died.
It's like he's about to be resurrected by Christ. There we go.
your dad was an interesting character, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was.
Rest in peace.
She was saying it mildly.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, the sassy ones. The little chihuahua.
Oh. Yeah.
Every chihuahua I've ever ran into was evil. Look, Mandy's like, don't you talk about my dog.
No, Jax is pretty bad. He's sitting there loving on him and everything, giving him kisses, and he's growling the whole entire time.
We got a golden retriever 2 years ago, and she's my best friend. She's the sweeter. She's literally 100% good girl. She's the sweetest. Like, they're the best breed of dog I've ever had in my life. I always had Boston Terriers, and I didn't even know a dog could be that sweet. I thought they were just like aloof, angry little puffs. And then like I got a golden retriever, and like you bought a best friend. You put money down. They handed you a fluffy best friend that literally loves you like a friend. It hugs you. Sweet
And
dog.
they are very protective of your children.
Best
very
dog ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all we had growing up was labs. I had the last dog I had was a chocolate lab, and her name was Bonnie.
Yeah.
And yeah, everywhere I went, she was right there with me. She was a rescue. She got abused, and
give her a good home.
Took a while to get her to trust me. Like when I got her home, she was still a puppy at the time. They broke her tail so much that it just formed back crooked. And I was literally having to climb under the bed with her to feed her and to comfort her. And she would just ball up in the corner and like snap at me and stuff. And after about a week, she got to where she started letting me love on her. But then after that, it was like I was the only one that she wanted anything to do with. Everybody else could just fuck off, you know. And then later on, she ended up turning, like you said, into everybody's best friend. Like she would literally go over to the neighbor's house and visit them and their kids and stuff. That was just the damnedest thing.
They're just the best dogs. Labs, retrievers, they're the best dogs. They just really are. And now, you know, it's like the only dog that I've ever had that'll probably be sad when it dies. Maybe I'm cold-hearted, but any of my dogs that have died, I just didn't feel anything about it. I was like, oh, like sucks, but I didn't feel like heartbroken. I'll probably be heartbroken when she dies.
And when Bonnie passed away, I was in Iraq, and I remember my son telling me, which he was a teenager at the time, and he was tore the hell up over it because he was close with her. And then I'm over there bawling like a damn baby, you know, because I felt bad because I wasn't there for her, you know, to be there with her when she passed.
Yeah.
Just old age got her.
And it's interesting because those dogs, especially retrievers, they have the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. So as much as you could talk to a 3-year-old, a conversation with a 3-year-old, or like they understand you, that's the same capacity that they have. So like you think about it, you're like, oh, it's like my little buddy.
She stayed puppy forever. It was funny how she was always playful, even when she was old. She just wanted to play with people.
Cool.
I miss her. That was like the best dog I ever had. Then I had another black lab. Her name was Hannah. And Hannah wasn't mean, but I don't know. She just didn't have that same personality that Bonnie had. And that personality Bonnie got was over time of having to regain her faith in humanity that we weren't all assholes, you know? So I just could never imagine the trauma that she had, especially as she got older. I always used to wonder. I wonder if dogs have post-traumatic stress, like
Yeah.
if she's asleep at night and has like flashbacks to when she's a puppy and having to deal with the shit that she had to deal with. God, I remember when I got her home and we had to give her baths. She was just covered in urine and God knows what, because the guy just abandoned them in a damn back room of his house. There was like 3 or 4 puppies that hadn't died yet. The rest of I think there was like 7 altogether, and 3 of them I think had died from the abuse and mistreatment. So that guy, I think he abandoned them when he moved, and somebody just happened to hear him out there one day. So they called the I think it was they called the ASPCA, I think it was, and we just all went out there and saw the ad, and we all went out there, and I grabbed her. But yeah, I didn't think there for a while I was going to be like, I was like, man, I've got this puppy home, and I don't want her to spend her entire eternity hiding under my bed. It's like, damn, I don't know what to do. And finally, some friends of mine who were real good with training dogs just told me, they were like, just go under there every day. You know, if you got to crawl under the bed, and just reassure her that you're not there to hurt her. And eventually she'll come around. It took time. But then, like I said, she would just go to the neighbors' houses. And there for a while, I was like, man, my neighbors are going to get so mad that she's going over there. But it got to the point where my neighbors looked forward to her visits. Like, she just had this routine every day. She'd go outside, just go over to the neighbors. Yeah. She'd go hang out with the neighbors' kids and stuff. And it was real cool because everybody, it was like she just became like, her. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like Rooster, our dog. Everybody knows her. They're like, oh my God.
There was this old couple that just, it always broke my heart because they would literally get worried if she didn't come visit.
Like what happened to her?
Yeah. And because especially the old man, he looked forward to Bonnie coming over every day because he would always have treats and stuff for her. So I was like, damn, I even thought about them when she passed. I was like, man, I wonder how they took it, you know?
Yeah. I know. Dogs become like your friends, your buddies. Some of them you're like, thank God. He did it out. Made it out the clock.
I love my puppies. I love my kitty cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my cat Bonnie, not Bonnie, Lily.
Here with me. I snuck Lucifer in, so nobody, my family doesn't pay attention to this. So Lucifer's in this room with me right now. It's a secret.
Oh, why?
Oh, he's not supposed to be in there?
No, he's not supposed to be here. But my sister Donna, my oldest sister Donna had him and got an eye infection and everything. So I went and I grabbed my cat and now I'm nurturing him back to health, and I feel like I'm harboring a fugitive at the moment. I feel like everything, I have him hidden and stuff like that. I was like, there's no cat here. So if anybody's like, what's that meowing noise? Be like, I'll just move my mouth with it.
Do you just go, meow? You just start randomly meowing so that they get used to the sound? That's really funny.
Must your stepdad get upset if the cat's there, or is it y'all are renting an apartment and they get really shitty about it?
No, it's my stepdad hiding it from him.
He doesn't like animals?
No, he does, but not the cats so much. He's more of a dog person.
I never understood why there's certain dudes out there like, fuck cats, I don't like cats. My cat Lily.
Yeah, I don't like cats sometimes because they pee on everything. I don't like the smell of cats.
That's why I only get female cats, because they don't spray.
Yeah.
Female cats will spray until you fix them. Just the same with the males too.
But they're not as prone to it as males are.
But I love Lucifer. Don't talk bad about Lucifer.
I don't know. The female cats to me are always a little more even keeled. Not quite as asshole-ish.
I don't know. The female cat that I had gotten for my niece, she's an asshole. She doesn't really like anybody touching her or anything. And with Lucifer, he wants to be held like a baby and loved and everything. Like you actually have to hold him while he's sleeping.
Aw.
That's Emmy's fault because Emmy always carried him around like he was a baby. She even put him in the toy little baby like seats and stuff like that. I literally have pictures of him in a baby, like a toy baby car seat, and she has him buckled in and everything, and he's just sitting there.
Bless his heart.
He just lets Emmy do whatever she wants to him.
That's Lily. Lily's same way. I've never seen her snap at a kid or anything. You can literally just sit there and just have her, because if she sees you and she likes you, she'll show you her belly, which to a cat's a big deal because I guess instinctively they never show their belly because they're opening themselves up to a predator.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was explained to me by the vet. And if she sees you and she just flops over on her side and just does like that, and you could literally go up to her, grab her paw, and just sit there and spin her around. She won't care. She'll just.
Well, my cat started to do that only because my big dog, I have a really big one. He's half Great Dane, half Pit Bull. So his favorite thing to do is to play dead whenever you walk into the room. His favorite thing in the whole wide world. So the cats realized that we would do that, and then we would go make a fuss over him and start rubbing his belly, saying, "No, no, no." And we'd be like, 1, 2, 3, and we'd be like, breathe, and we'd like rub his belly and stuff like that. And it's Oliver's favorite thing in the whole wide world. So the cats see us doing this. So the first cat was Toby, was my daughter Allie's cat, and he realized that, okay, this is, you get belly rubs or whatever it is. So we'd walk into the room. The next thing you know is I have these freaking cats learning one by one that you fall on the floor and roll over really quick when we walk in the room. So they're all playing dead to get belly rubs.
That's pretty cool.
It's like the weirdest thing in the whole world.
You should bang at it. You should go, then it just falls over.
Lucifer skateboards. And that's because Emmy kept playing with him on the skateboards and everything. So that's his thing, to get on the skateboards and trying to make that roll if you're not doing it for him. And if he can't make it go, he sits there and yells at you to make it go.
I couldn't find Lily this morning. I was like, where in the hell is my cat? And was freaking out. And I went and looked, and in my living room I have a collection of like horror movie busts and statues and stuff. And
Maybe
I
she
got
got
looking,
Harry King.
and she was hiding behind them, just sitting there asleep, but she was camouflaged so perfect. And I was just wigging out, and then I call her, and all of a sudden I hear her grunt because she's too fat to really meow. She just grunts. And I'm like, where are you? And I look, and she's hiding behind this Dr. Doom statue that I have. And she just, for some reason, just blended in because she's a calico. So her brown and white and everything just got to blended in back there. But I'm
camouflage.
I'm like, how in the fuck did you get back there and not knock everything over?
Because they're cats. And like one of those cats that I think is so as a giant cats. Do you know the ones that are like huge mancoons?
Yeah.
I want one.
Mm-hmm.
I want one. If ever I get a giant fucking cat.
Yeah,
then
there's
there's
a woman through a thing because I was doing the Uncle Spooky things, and you go on every Tuesday night and he shows a horror film and everything. He's a horror host, so you sit there with them on the Zoom calls and stuff like that, and he screens a movie. But there's one of the girls on there had one of them, and she held it up. She's like, "Look at my cat!" It's like this big ass thing. She's like, "Look,
huge, bigger than me."
Like, I love it.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm meeting up with Jeremy. He's on tour. The tour that he's on right now is going through Florida, so I'm going to meet up with them for a few dates before they head back out of Florida. So I'll be doing that.
Yeah, I would really love to have him on, talk about his band and stuff, because I love talking to musicians and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then also we have Taylor lives here. Taylor, who I was telling you, my brother's doing D-side now. He lives here. We all live together. I can connect you with him as well if you like.
Yeah, I mean,
chat.
Ask him like, what's it like being in D-side?
He'll be like, he's still practicing and learning all of it. Obviously,
it's probably got to be very time consuming, just learning the set and everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're complicated, fast songs. Yeah, Jeremy's out right now with Dark Tranquility and Cataclysm, and he'll be back mid-March, so anytime then.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to start filming. I think we have like a very short window to cram everything in, so we're going to be filming at the end of March.
Somebody said, "Great." What did he say? Great. I'm going to have bop stuck in my head now.
Yeah, but it was Hail Bop.
She's correcting it. She's like she redid it. She did a cover of it, and it's Hail Bop now. Hail Bop.
I mean, that's immortality. That's what I was saying.
What were they? The Hanson brothers. Bob.
Mm-hmm. That's
forever.
Forever and ever. It's all right. I mean, we have a studio here, so Taylor and Jeremy, they're always mixing bands, and those songs get stuck in my head, like stuck. Even if it's like a spot, like a chorus or something or a line, it'll be stuck in my head for like a month. And I always joke, I'm like, I don't think that a lot of bands realize like how much like their music like literally filters into my everyday like sounds. I'm just like humming their like songs all the time.
It's like you're sitting there head banging while you're
for better or for worse, like some of them you're just like, it's a line you may not even, you're like, oh my God, that's stuck in my head now forever. Yeah.
So what instruments does Jeremy play? Is he guitarist?
He's a drummer by like his original as a drummer. He still drums. On the Inhuman Condition, he's the drummer. He writes all the drums. They have a live drummer that plays the live shows. So he wrote all the drums. And then he plays bass in a bunch of projects, and I think he plays guitar in some projects. So he's a really well-rounded musician. Is everything.
I've always noticed that about a lot of bands. Their drummer is normally like the most well-rounded musician out of everybody in the band. It's funny how that works.
It's got to be. I mean, be a drummer, they're a very strange breed of people anyway. They're very odd. They're using different parts of their brain, and like, I don't know, I realize that not all the same, but all the drummers I'm typically not.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that their job is the most important in the band because they're the ones that set the timing and the pacing of the song. I mean,
he's an amazing drummer. Since like one, I think we have a picture of him like hitting a drum set like his whole life. So, yeah, he does everything. Just different things. They have different genres and all kinds of stuff. So he's just an artist,
Can't play drums. I can't play anything.
Is at my end, Deidra just froze up really bad.
Nope, there she is.
Yeah.
Are you still there with us, Deidra?
I am.
Yep, see.
Okay.
Shit, I was just looking.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's fine. My internet can be a little sketchy.
Well, I got to get ready to jump off here in a minute. I got to go get my son from work. Dan's he can't drive right now because he wrecked his scooter.
Is he okay though? Like he's all right?
Yeah. He was like, Dad, I'm sore this morning. I was like, yeah, that normally happens when you get in an accident, son. It's kind of part of the deal. I mean, you wrecked. I'm just glad you're breathing. Yeah, he just got some bumps and bruises. People can pick on him because he wears like riding jacket, like guys with sports bikes and stuff, and a helmet and gloves and everything. So it looks silly on a scooter probably. But at the same time, if he hadn't had all that stuff on, his face would have been hamburger from the way that helmet was.
One of my sisters just got in a bad accident a month ago, and it broke her spleen split in half.
Oh, shit.
They went in and Janine.
Wow.
So she's still healing and everything from that, and they're having to do knee surgery and everything for her. So she's still a spider dropped down from the visor, so she just
it's a nightmare. It's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, a spider fell down and She crashed a truck.
Yeah. Fuck that. See?
You're like, spiders.
What? Fuck spiders. No, really, like one moment can change everything. It's so stupid.
No, I did. It's that was like, yeah, I keep like I chime in and here and there trying to check on her and everything like that. But yeah, it just I couldn't believe that. It's like that was the first time I heard of that, like being in an accident and just getting hit so hard that your spleen splits in half.
Poor girl.
I'm like, that is just
Damn.
it's insane. But John's got to get going, and I'm sure we would have a million more stories to tell. But thank you so much for coming on, Deidra.
Thank you for having me.
And if you have Jeremy on, come back with him. Deidra, I'd love to talk to both of you.
Okay. All right. We could do that for sure. And I'll message you guys afterward about that. Thank you so much for having me. It was a genuine pleasure.
Yeah, I've actually had fun talking to you because it's somebody that likes metal music and kind of has the same mindset. It's not a
I don't care, John. I don't care.
She's like, shh.
Doesn't make me feel bad at all. So
no, it was a true honor. It's a true honor and pleasure to meet you, Deidra, and I can't wait to meet Jeremy. And Jeremy is still watching or hears this. Stay safe out there.
He tried to call me, so I'm not sure. Yeah, he's on tour, so he might be already doing sound check right now. So
just want to say, stay safe out there, brother, on tour. There's crazies everywhere.
All right. Well, good talking to you guys.
Same to you. Bye, bye, Deidra.
Bye.
Oh, well, I hope your sister's okay. I mean, split spleen. Holy shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that had happened to her, but that was like the biggest one, because they had to go in and see if they could actually get it to start healing and, fusing back together, basically, because if not, they were going to have to remove it, and that would mean that she would never be able to fight off anything like colds and stuff like that, get super sick. Your spleen is very important.
I never really knew what the spleen was in charge of. So
your immune system. So without it, you're really screwed.
You're fucked.
Yeah, and especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, you go take care of the fam. I'm going to go take care of mine. Go get old boy.
Yeah, I think my one friend is on her way over to take the kids to the park or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll walk down there. Who knows? But
thanks, guys. Hey, no, thank you, Matt. And it was his son that I sent the T-shirts to, Charlie. And Charlie, if you're watching this, man, thanks for always watching us and showing us love.
Yes, thank you.
Means a lot. Same to you, Matt. I hope Charlie likes the T-shirts that we sent him. Yeah, that kind of meant a lot to me. That Charlie likes watching. Supposedly he watches us while he's playing Fortnite. Or listens.
Really?
Yeah.
He listens to us. We talk a lot of nonsense. I hope I haven't said anything too bad.
Matt told me yesterday that he's not a repeater.
Okay.
So he'll hear stuff.
Bradley.
But he doesn't repeat what he hears, thank God.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, because I know I say some pretty crazy messed up things.
Yeah, because
like, what are you saying?
Uncle John, Uncle Luke, and Auntie Mandy can say some pretty weird stuff.
Well,
especially Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke can say some really cool. I don't know if it's cool. Cringe, maybe.
Well, let's get off of this thing. My butt keeps like getting stuck to the seat every time I move it. It keeps making farting noises.
So it's going to go when you come up with it, like your ass is kissing the seat.
No, it's like I'm like moving on it, and it just keeps like that. And my
Oh,
my
man.
ass is really big, so it does it for a long time.
Oh, before we jump off, I had this. I was going to tell. I was
That's your cat thing.
interviewed by. Let me see. The Deaf Parade Filmfest.com folks who have the Grim and Bloody podcast. John was interviewed on that on Thursday night, so I don't know when that's going to be dropped, but I will make sure to list it on our website. Yep, we have a website now, www.fiendishfantasyproductionsllc.com. That is like your one stop for everything to do with this show.
Wait until you see John and Luke's picture. They look so pretty.
And
So
Mandy's pretty too.
Not compared to them. They
And
look
I
like
did,
they're in a beauty pageant
and
on
I
the site.
felt very proud of the write-up I did for you, and I meant every word of it.
Thank you, John. I still want cookies.
I'll have to send you some more Aloha cookies, because last time I sent you cookies, Emmy eat them all.
No, it wasn't just Emmy. It was my other daughter too. They had all the like really good ones though. They left me like the weird ones. There's some weird ones in there.
Yeah, they got ones that they just put a coffee bean into and shit.
Yeah, that's the weird one they left me. I'm like, well, like shit.
But yeah, guys, keep a lookout for the Grim and Bloody podcast. Don't know what their upload schedule is, so they told me
Did
they'd
they
let
give
me
you an
know.
idea?
They said around next week. They didn't specify the day. I'm gonna have to get up with Kevin. He's the one that kind of runs everything there. Find out. He's trying to hook us up with Dee Wallace. And for those that don't know who maybe Dee Wallace is, and if you like horror, you should know who Dee Wallace is. She played Elliot's mother in E.T. She was also in The Howling. She was the reporter at the end of the movie that turned into the werewolf. I think she might have been in Gremlins. I think either Gremlins 1 or Gremlins 2. I know she did a lot of stuff with Joe Dante. Like her and Joe Dante were real tight. So I might be able to score her. But we got some other surprises coming along, like Steve Rubin, who wrote the Twilight Zone Encyclopedia and worked with the actual widow of Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone series to write that encyclopedia. So he's going to talk to us about that, and that's coming up on. Let's see, I got it right here on March 20th at 2 p.m. Pacific. So March 20th, 2 p.m. Pacific will be him. So if you like the Twilight Zone and want to know more about it, and also if you're a James Bond fan, he does write the James Bond books too. So he'll be there. Better be glad to love you. And I am going to be forwarding. He did send us digital copies of the books for me to share with you guys, you and Luke. So I will email you that. Twilight Zone Encyclopedia. I guess it's like every episode of that show.
It's pretty awesome. Thomas said thank you if you talked to him. Thank you.
Charlie thought Mandy was froze.
See, that
but I didn't buy it. And Charlie, I told your dad this, and he says you're kind of a shy kid, but if you ever want to come on and do a little movie review with us, we don't have to live stream it. We can just do it as a regular episode and get you on a podcast, buddy. So there's that. You can deal with me and Mandy and Luke, maybe if we can get Luke.
That's fun. I'm fun until my ass starts hurting. And it's like, why? Why? You're like, don't talk like that on the show, Mandy. You're like, I'm talking to a kid. Like, well, you know what? This kid's gotta know what some people say.
This is a family show.
Can't send him out into the world without realizing there's people like me out there. You gotta
That your
prepare
ass
him.
hurts when you sit in seats too long and they stick and make fart noises.
Yeah, when you rub it across the seat because it has like that fake leather top. See, like right there. I don't know if you can hear it. There, it's trying really hard.
Sounds like when you're rubbing your wet hand on rubber.
Yeah, it's what it feels like, but it's my big fat ass.
And I like big butts, and I can't not lie. No, other brothers can't deny.
When a girl walks in with the itty bitty waist round thing in your face, you get sprung. Yeah, I know the song. I was a little kid, and we all thought the song was hilarious, so we all had to sing it all the time. I was
like,
in
Mom,
middle
I want
school.
a big ass
Yeah,
like
middle
her.
school. So you have all these little kids who think the song is like absurd and hilarious. So yeah, we all learned that thing.
Oh, we got a big guest tomorrow, Frank Farrell. I don't know how many people have ever heard of Street Trash and Spookies. Two great B movies from the 80s. Very underrated. They're not necessarily scary. They're just kind of like horror comedies, but they are very gory and some of the best practical effects you probably ever see in the history of practical effects. Street Trash you can pretty much get on DVD. I think you can also get it on Amazon Prime. Spookies is only available on VHS, and that's going to be a question I'm going to save for Mr. Farrell tomorrow, is why Spookies never got a remaster to DVD, because there's got to be something about that legalities or anything like that caused that, because that was a pretty good movie. I mean, especially the transformation scene of when this girl turns into a spider was very well done.
I'm listening.
So come on back tomorrow and we'll have Frank Farrell.
I won't make faces with him on here, I promise.
He'll probably be all for it, because in Spookies he had zombies that farted. They would just walk around
and on the seat for him, huh? Sounds like a fetish.
And Street Trash is just a movie about homeless people.
Sorry, sir, you want me to sit on a birthday cake for you also while I'm at it?
And fart on it. Went Street
I
Trash
was gonna
last
say
night.
fart on a cake. That's just nasty.
Oh, it is on YouTube, the entire movie. Didn't know that.
I need to watch it really quick tonight to get. It's been a really long time since I've seen it.
And we've got Morgan Wellborn on. Probably said his name completely wrong. I apologize. Wellborn.
Wellborn. Hello, Morgan.
Morgan is a film director who has Hellvira's Haunted Asylum of Horror on Indiegogo right now. So, well, I don't know. I don't know if have you launched that Indiegogo yet, Morgan? I don't think so. But yeah, he is making a kind of I guess, and it's kind of like a horror anthology movie with a horror host, kind of like in the vein of Elvira. I actually like the art for it and just the whole aesthetic. March 1st, he will be launching his Indiegogo, so I will have that linked up on our website to help him promote it, and I will do what I can to bring more eyes to his film. Morgan's a real good guy. He's been real supportive of us, and all we can do is return that back to him. Very talented filmmaker, so make sure you all go show him some love.
I look like a dead dick.
Jesus Christ. I don't know what a dead dick looks like, so I don't have a frame of reference, really.
Don't you have to go do something?
Yes, I do. I got to go get my son before he starts blowing up my phone and be like, Dad, you're failing me as a father. You didn't come to pick me up. Hey, I have house cleaning to do here. I have things I got to put out, like Morgan's movie and our guest that's coming up, so he can wait. He's 20. He's a big boy. He can handle himself. No, I got to go get him.
Yes.
Morgan. Yeah, she's still dealing with after effects of that.
Yeah, my face is like today I swelled up. It's like they said that's why though. I have periods where I'm swollen and stuff. I can see it on my face right here. Like it's all puffy. But then you look at this side, it's fine. It's just one side today. So
I had the Omicron variant, and the only damn thing I got is like my hands get tingly and shit. I don't understand
I'm like really swollen today though. It's like everywhere up in here. Ugh.
Doc said it did nerve damage to my hands or something. I don't know. It is what it is. I guess we're still alive and breathing.
Body pains and everything. It's like my joint pain. It's like almost like arthritis and everything all throughout my body.
About a cure, I'll link you on Facebook. Oh shit.
Thank you, Morgan.
Well,
I'll definitely like to see that. So thank you.
I guess it's time for us to ride off into the sunset. Let me go get my boy so he don't freak out. But guys, I just want to say thank you for joining us. It's always good to see these friendly faces show up every week when we do these. It's much appreciated. And I'm going to get out of here. Mandy's going to get out of here. But come back tomorrow. Frank Farrell will have the producer and the actor who was on Street Trash and Spookies. So until then, this has been John, the beautiful Mandy Cantone. And we will see you all again next time on Behind the Feeds.
Bye, everybody.